Yo! What's up, everybody? How we doing? It's cold here. Quick checks. How we doing? Couple of things might be a little bit off today, so I'm just getting the excuses out of the way straight away. So I have new neighbours and they do not have any internet, so they asked if they can hook up to my Wi-Fi. I said, yeah, of course, no problem. The issue with that is that my simple Wi-Fi box is now producing the internet for both myself and my neighbours who are connected to it, which means that the internet is a little bit hiccupy here at the moment because I don't have the bandwidth. Basically, it's not really something that it can juggle because it's not the most expensive internet. But which is why I don't have my TV. As you guys can see, there's no TV in the background because it just won't connect to the internet. I can't have this and that and the neighbours connected to the internet all at the same time. It just can't handle it, otherwise the stream will crash. So you guys are going to have to cope with dark screen in the background. Nobody turn that into a green screen and put anything compromising on it. Also, I am not in uniform. It's cold, like stupid cold, as in my town has been literally frozen all week. Since January the 1st, it's now January the 10th, and everything outside, I still have the snowman. I went outside on January 1st when it was fun and exciting and I made a snowman. He's still there. It's been a week and a half and the mother... He's staring in through my window, right? It's still cold here. Everything is frozen, everything is icy, and it's not fun anymore. So to be fair, I can get rid of the scarf now. I may put it back on. And I'm wearing a lovely, comfortable Resident Evil hoodie that my mum got for me. And it's very, very nice. So, how is everyone? How are we all doing? Hello, everybody. I have your chat up on the screen and I am going to say hi. Today we are here with a purpose. It's not going to be the longest stream because I have had to have some time off work over the last week, sadly, due to unforeseen circumstances. And that means that I am playing catch-up with a lot of my work. So I'm going to have to bail at like 9 o'clock at the latest, which is like 2 hours from now, but we'll see how long it takes because we do have a job to do today. We are going to we're going to continue to carve out our own personal corner of the nowhere, and your guys' suggestions have not been forgotten. I still have my nuts. Okay? So, anyway, let's say hello to some people. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the top and I'm going to start with Puppy Queen, who said hello because she might be late. So hi Puppy, it's good to see you. Hello Lefty Bear, hello Noah, Kit Kat Catsy's in the mix as well. Little Sasha, hello. The real CC, hello there. I'm also at some point going to try and get your chat on the screen because I discovered something recently and I'm going to tell you about it now. This awkward system that they've got in place, I don't know why. I have turned off every measure of censorship I possibly can. Like, it's all off. Like, you guys should be able to swear and say controversial stuff and advertise. Like, you should be able to drop anything in there at the moment. But for some reason, it still seems to filter out certain people's messages while I'm live. And I don't see them until after the stream. Like, when I'm rewatching it a couple of days later and I'm looking at the chat and I'm like, I didn't even say hello to this person. I didn't see this person. Why? And then I run it back to the actual recording and blind them side by side, and they're not in the chat. So some of the messages that you guys are sending right now, I literally cannot see. And I don't know why. And I can prove it as well, because I can bring your chat onto screen, which I'm going to do before long. But for now, I'm going to trust in the YouTube algorithm and hope that you guys can actually see me and I can see you. You should be able to hear background music as well, hopefully. It says that you've got a bit of background music, so you're not just subjected to my voice and my face and my poor internet connection. But yeah, hopefully everything's okay. It is. Mochi Kitty, it is very funny that it's 2026 already. And we were introduced about 6 to 9 years. Has it really been that long? It can't be. Unless you're not talking to me. You're probably not talking. I was going to say it because I'm not even 10 years old. Shattered Low and Alone, what's up? Yes, Abyss, we are making OCs now. Well, in fact, we've already made OCs. They're actually going to be coming up today because I got a bunch of them submitted, and then my team went through them, and we covered a couple of them, and got some artworks drawn up, and it was really fun. And you guys are going to get to vote on which one of those OCs is going to be in our upcoming Secret Expansion episode pilot that we're working on, we will be working on when we get to the end of this process. But it's not a fast process. It's not going to happen overnight. We started with the votes last time we were live, and we got a good foundation built up. Today we're going to expand on this story, and we're going to refine more where this story will take place, who we're going to be up against, and what eerie entities that reside in the nowhere we're going to have to navigate as we journey through this section, and also, most importantly, who we're going to be taking control of, because it's going to be an OC character, a brand new character designed by one of you, and we're going to vote on that today. But yeah, anyways, I need to keep saying hello, Great Master Gemini. yes, your tears sustain me. Also, I have green screen now. Yo, freaky. But I also like my background, so cool. I'm here and I got my sketchbook ready just in case. Good call, Rexo. Good call. Mr. Tibbs, Geminist Unite. Shut up, Tibbs. Nobody asked you. Oh, dear me. NH, hello there. Harley, what's up? How you doing? Caleb made it. Well done. I'm glad you're here, Caleb. How's it going? Oh, Gemini, I just came back from shopping with my mum. Nice one, Edward. Did you get anything nice? Or were you just food shopping? I literally find food shopping really exciting these days. I hate doing it. I hate being out in public. I don't like it. I don't like shopping and all the rest of it. But I love having a full fridge. I love buying meat and fish and eggs and honey and ice cream. I'm on a diet also because one of my goals this year is I'm going to get jacked, like really jacked. So by the summertime I should be absolutely shredded, and a lot of that depends on my diet and exercise. So I went shopping just the other day and I bought a lot of healthy foods, so like spinach and eggs and fish and lean beef and chicken, and I'm drinking lots of water. This is in fact the first fizzy drink I've had since December, and it's also sugar free. This is Coke Zero. Current Worm, hey, how are you all? Might have to miss this one, but I wanted to wish everyone a good stream. Thank you, Current Worm. I appreciate you stopping in and saying hi to everybody. It's so nice that you guys as a community feel obliged to one another as well. It's really cool because you guys aren't even just here for me. You're here for each other, and that's so wholesome and so cool, and I really, really like that. So, that's really nice. Gemini's in the snowy pale city. You know what? Shattered Low and Alone, you've actually just brought up something really cool, because when I was out doing my exercise yesterday, it was snowing, obviously, because it hasn't stopped snowing for like a week solid. But I was walking in the snow, and I was dragging my feet because it was like nearly a foot thick, and I'm dragging my feet through the snow, and I'm making a silly pattern and just trying to entertain myself to take my mind off the cold. And I looked out into the distance and I seen a little red light on top of a building. That was the police station in my town. A little red light on the top of it on an antenna. And I was reminded of that picture in the Little Nightmares 2 art book where Mono is pulling what appears to be a passed out Six through the snow, and then you can see the signal tower in the distance. And I thought, that's something that we've never expanded on. Should we do like a snowy or blizzard-ridden environment? Because we've seen the sun in the nowhere, we've seen rain, we've seen thunderstorms, we've seen it all, but we haven't seen snow yet. And I think a snowy environment could be really cool to explore, especially considering Snow in general is like, not only is it wildly uncomfortable, but you could add so much tension in the atmosphere with a snowy environment. You could put footprints in there but not explain what they belong to. There could be trails of blood in snow, right? There could be, like, certain things could be carved out. Igloos, holes could be dug under the snow. You could use the snow as a trap in some regard. Snow could be so tall or so high or so voluminous that our heroes are simply too small to see over the top of it, so you have to navigate around the snow. So if you fall into like a deep patch of snow, then you could essentially drown or freeze. Or you could have a snow monster, very much like the shoe monster or the junkyard monster. You know, there's something under there, and you make your way across the top of the snow, but there's something under it, and it just burrows under it. I just think it's cool. I think it would be a cool concept to play with. But anyway, I'm ignoring you guys again, because I'm a fool. I hear a cola being swished around. That would be me making all that noise. What's up, Stinkles? How you doing? First stream of 2026. Indeed, yeah. Happy New Year, by the way, everybody. And I forgot to say welcome, foolish mortals, to a random live stream. But it's not so random. This was indeed planned. 20 years pixel animations. Do you think Alone will be in the DLC? I think Alone may make an appearance, but I don't think she's going to be one of our playable characters. I don't think. It's very tough to say at the moment. Given given what I know, because I know I had a different opinion of this, probably the last time somebody asked about this, I said, yeah, absolutely. But after seeing the ending of Little Nightmares 3 and seeing it concluded and knowing what goes on, I think she could be in it. In fact, she probably will, but it all depends on when it takes place. See, I was under the impression that the game was going to separate Lo and Alone and have them traverse certain areas entirely by themselves. But now, given Alone's nature, that doesn't really make sense anymore. Because it's like, if she only exists in his subconscious, then how could he possibly lose her? That's why every time he goes to the nowhere, no matter where he goes, no matter what falls he takes or stumbles, or, you know, no matter what mirror he goes to, she's always there, right? She's always waiting for him. As soon as he wakes up, no matter how adverse his atmosphere might be, he is there. She's right there waiting for him. So I don't know. Probably. Happy early birthday to Stinkles and Iris Moth. Indeed, yes, absolutely. So excited for the story. It's going to be epic. It really is. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Feel free to ask me on Discord about any of my OCs, but for now I must go. Hang out with my friends. I must leave. A nice green screen. Thank you, Abyss. I really appreciate you. And I will be sure to ask about your characters on Discord as this process continues. I keep forgetting on what to call this because I keep going to say as the stream progresses, but this will not be over today. It'll take place over several streams, and it's going to take a good couple of weeks, maybe months, before we actually have a finished product out of this. But the good thing is, because it's going to take so long, it's going to be awesome. Jacket Gemini versus the Ferryman. Ferryman's got no chance now. I've got the jacket. I'm wearing a jacket today. He's screwed. Maybe Jack Gemini, maybe. I wasn't sure if it was jacked or jacket, because I have a jacket, but also, well, I'm not jacked at the moment. Like, normally in the summertime I'm reasonably in shape. Like, I try and keep myself in really good shape to the best of my ability, and sometimes I fall short of that margin. I wouldn't say I'm jacked, but I keep myself quite well. Intentionally, I really try really hard. So I'm intending by June, I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to think, God damn, you jacked. So hopefully I'll be able to take the Ferryman. I doubt it, very sincerely. But it's all good. Yeah, I want that Ferryman build, KR. You're absolutely right. I want to be built like the Ferryman. What if in issue 3, DTN, the jailer drinks Mono's youth so she can remain young as a result and grows to the Thin Man in number 2. Ooh, what if that's what all the body parts in the jars are about? What's up, Unknown? How's it going? Hello there. Gemini, I posted 2 videos. One is in the videos section and the other is in the shorts. It didn't let me post the videos. No worries. I'll find them. I'd pay good money to see that. Yes, a snowy environment for sure. Right, okay. Let me just make sure there's nobody I'm missing. I said hello to Fulcrum, Mochi, Rexo, Kit Kat, Real CC, Stinkles, Edward, ANH, 20 years. Demon Bug, hello there. They could be fully black monsters because they're so far frozen. Yeah, or like something that you can barely tell what it is because it's frozen. What could we do? Like an Eskimo. You could have the Eskimo, and he could be you might not get a real good look at what he actually looks like because he's all like bundled up and he's prepared for a snowy environment. So he could be an absolute nightmare, like trying to avoid him because he's so like custom built to that environment. Maybe you have to, I don't know, you have to climb a mountain or something. You have to like traverse a mountain to get away from this dude. Or the mountain climber. Or the Yeti. You could have the abominable snowman. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 20 years knows how it is. Yep, snowman. I have the snowman. The Yeti. Yeah. But I would love a snowman that looks normal at first glance and then starts to move. Yeah, that'd be cool as well. Like it's just been lying in wait. And then it starts to move, and eventually it's sort of like bits of it start to fall off, and you realise there's something actually living within the snow. In the final chase with Monster Baby, I think I hear her say Denthelo, which means I don't want in Greek. Ooh, that's really eerie. That's super creepy. I've been looking at a lot of stuff like that recently with regard to, because something that frightens me, at least the concept that frightens me a lot, I actually included it in one of my most recent videos, is the idea of a mimic or a skinwalker. Something that will... a great scene to show this, actually, is a movie called Oblivion. I haven't seen the movie, but I've saw a clip of it where there is this mutant creature. Spoiler alert for Oblivion, by the way. I don't know how old the movie is, but whatever. But spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled on Oblivion, there's something in it, and I'm going to tell you about it in 3, 2, 1. There is a creature in the dome called... it's just a bear, but it's like a radioactive bear. And it's weird, it's all like melting, and it's big and deformed and vicious and scary, but it speaks in the same voice as its last victim, and it kills a woman, and she's screaming for help, and the bear thing kills and eats her and then disappears, and her friends go looking for her, and when they're looking for her they can hear her friends screaming, please help, and then they go closer and closer to this thing, hearing their friend's voice coming out of it, and then it gets real close to them, and it opens its mouth, you think it's going to roar, and it screams help at them. And it's like, no, like everything, your entire heart falls out. It's awesome. It's so cool. What's up, Sasha? Hello. Maybe make a frostbite situation. Yeah. Or Krampus. Yeah. I actually, I thought of a Krampus enemy, but I was beaten to it by another channel, a fantastic channel called GamerTube. And GamerTube made, they've been doing this sort of thing for a very long time. Actually, way longer than I have, and I didn't know until somebody pointed out the similarity between my style of video and GamerTube's. And they were like, this is a lot like GamerTube. I was like, what's GamerTube? And more than one person mentioned it. So I went to check it out, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's great. So the lead artist and the face of GamerTube is a guy called Nick, and he's brilliant. I've had the pleasure of talking to Nick's team at one point, and they are lovely people and very, very talented. But they've already made a Krampus monster in their what should be in Little Nightmares 3 series. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes and go creating one of my own. I feel like we could come up with a really cool design, and I would also encourage anybody else to do the same thing. But also I would say that, if I was to create one and turn it into a full-blown episode, I couldn't say that it was entirely my idea, because it was inspired by GamerTube and their idea of the Krampus monster being in Little Nightmares. So even though it's like a common concept, I still wouldn't feel right saying this was my idea, because it wasn't. Hey Demon Bug, I'm really glad you were able to catch up with the stream for real. You're actually here in real time. So, just a quick heads up, I'm really slow with chat because I tend to go off on tangents, but I also really respect my chat, and I have a lot of love for you guys. So I will try and read as many as many comments as I possibly can, but I will fall behind and I will take a long time to answer. So apologies for that, but you'll get used to it, I'm sure. Oh no! I see the ferryman is winning the fight. Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie. I've got to look at the ferryman. I'm not winning that fight, guys. It doesn't matter how jacked I get. I'm not gonna beat that dude. Not for a second. The deadly jacket. Yeah, fake Scondi is right. Yeah, feel the power. Yeah, fear my Resident Evil jacket and my huge back. Oh no. Yeah, see, this is the thing. I'm like, look at my huge back, and the ferryman walks in and just eclipses my entire background. Oh, that's what I should have done. I should have put the ferryman behind me on the green screen, just like, uh-oh. Oh no! Oh no! I'm in the dark. Help me! I'm scared. How do I do? Is that okay now? Oh no! Also. Also, OBS updated their settings recently, and it totally screwed up the way I stream. Normally, I'd just have the background going. I'd have one camera, one camera capturing me from two different angles. One like this, and one on a smaller screen, like this. And it made me change how I have that set up. So now, instead of just having like 6 buttons that take care of everything I need them to all at the same time on one screen, I have to have like 3 separate screens open for every scene I have that's got my camera, my advert, my BRB screen, my background, the music, the green screen. All of my different effects need to now be spread over 3 screens instead of just being 6 buttons. They're now like 18 buttons. So if I hit the wrong buttons sometimes and seem really unprofessional, I'm sorry. But this is my first stream where I've had to mess around with the settings like that, and I'm not used to what everything does yet. So I am going to hit a couple of the wrong buttons. But anyway, I feel like I've talked for long enough. We are here with a purpose. We came here today because we are going to expand on this. So I'm going to close the vote up the top here, because this was one to just get you guys thinking. So, will the ferryman be in the Secrets of the Spiral DLC? 60% of you say yes, 33% of you aren't sure, and 7% are absolutely convinced that he will not be making an appearance. I really like the ferryman to be in it, and I do think he will make at least a cameo appearance, but I genuinely do not know. So, Mobinus, you think there's someone in the carnival with a higher status than the kin? You know, the only person I could really think of that might have a higher purpose, or at least be in higher standing than the kin, would be like the circus master. Because from my knowledge of circuses, particularly travelling circuses like that one appears to be, they have a big boss, like an owner. And given his environment and his, you know, the structure, how much of him is represented in it, and how much of the area accommodates him, it would be foolish to argue that the kin is not up there. You know, he's probably in charge. He's probably running the show. And especially given his attire as well, you know, wearing a suit even on stage, it does give him big boss energy. But he might not be. There might be something more. There might be something else in charge. I don't know what it'd be, but if I was going to suggest anything, if I was going to design whatever that creature was, if I decided, you know what, maybe the Minikin would have to work for somebody else because he doesn't have enough stage presence of his own, which he does. He absolutely does, in my opinion. But I think it would have to be the ringmaster or the circus master or something like that, because there is generally... I've seen travelling circuses before. In fact, a couple of my friends worked for one. And whenever they come to my town, I go to watch and I see them and I say hi to their boss, and he is the ringmaster. But he owns the whole thing. And he's very much like the kin, but he doesn't have an act of his own, other than he'll come on and he'll introduce the acts, and that's it. That's pretty much all he does. But the kin arguably has an act of his own, right? So presumably he might work for somebody. But I don't know that for certain, because there will be some ringmasters that are extremely talented and grew up in the circus of their own. You know, they probably grew up in the circus before they bought a circus. Or they might have inherited the circus and started out as an actor, so they might, or a talent, sorry, so they might have an act of their own. It's really hard to say. I personally think the king is in charge, but if he wasn't, I think there'd only be one step above him, and it would be considerable, and I'd probably call it the ringmaster. Because I think that's a cool, like, sharp name that gives big boss energy. We're here for a porpoise. Yes, indeed. We should make a character that's impulsive. We probably will. Snowchild's name, month. Explain. Well, actually, don't explain. You don't have to explain anything. Personally, I have gotten attached to characters because I've created a couple of OCs of my own. And I know why they are called what they are called, right? I know their names, and I know why I gave them their names, and I know the backing story that led to them receiving that or choosing that name. But Little Nightmares in general doesn't explain that, right? They don't tell us why she's called Six, or he's called Mono, or she's called Alone, or he's called Low. We sort of have to interpret it in our own way, and you know, we can come to some conclusions like, you know, Mono, it's like, oh, well, obviously he's called Mono because of, like, you know, the monophobia, and he ends up alone, and he's by himself and all the rest of it. But the truth is, we don't really know. We don't know the thought pattern behind the developers, so it is very, very difficult to say. But anyway, I'm going to start up a new poll, because I want to open with a new question. We voted last time that this entire event should take place in a domestic place turned hostile. And I brainstormed a couple of ideas with you guys, and you guys set out a couple of ideas as well, and I said that we were going to expand on that today. So there's been a few things pitched to me and my team, and I have sort of narrowed it down, and I've chosen the top 4, and they're right here, and I'm going to let you guys I'm going to let you guys vote on which one you want. So let me just... Little Nightmares theorist. Gemini, how are you doing, Gem? I'm great, Little Nightmares. I am doing absolutely fine. Also, I'm sorry, guys. I know that a lot of you guys, I should already know your names. But YouTube now, for some reason, has you always go by your handle rather than your channel name. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's to stop people impersonating one another or something like that. But it means that I will always now refer to you by your handle, the handle that appears on my screen, rather than your channel name. So if I say it and you guys have for some reason forgotten your channel handles because it's like completely unrelated, like I've got one on my screen here. One of the characters earlier on was suggested by Rowdy Rex, but Rowdy Rex is in chat at the moment, but you guys won't be able to see them as Rowdy Rex. They'll probably appear as Noah, because that's their handle. And I didn't know that they were two people until I saw the one... I didn't know that they were both the same person until I received their artwork for the character submission for today's poll. And when I looked back in my chat to find what they said about this character and how I might find it, and I'm like, oh, this is the same person. Why do they use two different names? Turns out they don't. YouTube just makes you. So yeah, sorry guys if I'm using names that you don't prefer, but there's too many of you to use like all of your preferred names. So I'm just gonna use it. I'm just gonna read it as I see it, if that's okay. Like this one, WLER865, right? That's a mouthful, and I don't like saying that constantly, but if I go to their channel, they're called Marto, right? I'd much rather call you Marto, but I'll forget to call you Marto if I just continue with chat. Like, give it 20 minutes, I'll forget what your name actually is, because I'm not good like that. So, yeah, anyway, what did Marto actually say? Do you think Six will be in Little Nightmares 4? Maybe, but again, I think she'll only be in it as a cameo appearance. I don't think she'll be the focus for quite a while. Flake is a good name. My Little Nightmare story would be about the themes of crime, justice, and judgment. It's a totalitarian utopia in the place called the Capital, built around law, rules, punishment, and of the trespassers or children. I absolutely love that. I'd really like to explore that concept some more, because I was looking into something like that recently, and it's surprisingly close to what I'm considering. I'm not saying we're stepping on each other's toes, because I don't know your idea. Well, I do now, but we don't know anything about each other's ideas, and I am going to share mine, but I want to share it when it's like fully flushed out and ready. Anyways, what's up, Alex the Frog? How you doing? Mono's name means alone in Greek. Yes, it does indeed. Yes. Right. Vibe check, man. Where do I submit mine? I've been working on an original character for over an entire year, so they are extremely complex. Vibe check, man. So you can still submit characters. It won't be featured in today's poll, because we established in the last stream we did this, where we were like, right, everybody make up a character, submit it to me. Me and my team will go through all of them. We'll pick the best ones with the descriptions and everything that we like, and we'll let you guys vote on them. And we've already done that part. We're gonna vote on those characters today, but there's only 4 of them, so you'd be too late to submit for the pilot episode. However, we did also agree last time that new OCs, so your characters, your OCs, other people's original concepts and characters and stuff, can come into it to meet these characters and join these stories in future episodes. It just won't be in the first one. But if you want to submit your character, you can do it in 2 ways. Well, 3 ways, actually. You can either hit me up on Discord and send it to me directly, and just let me know what it is. My Discord is at Gemini540. You can post it on your own channel, as a community post, with preferably a picture of the character as you'd like them designed, and then a description of them in the post so that I can read it, and tag me at Gemini540. Make sure you tag me so that I actually see it, so that I know that you're submitting it. Or you can just submit it directly to my email address, which is in the description of this video. And you can just send it to me directly that way, and just call it OC submission or something like that. I'll get it because I read all my emails, but just so that I know what it is, so that I can archive it and then research it properly later on. Hypothetically, what if we had enemies like the bullies or the shadow children in our snowy environment, and what if we called them frostlings? I like that. I actually really like that. That's cool. And it gives them like an environmental sting as well. That's really cool. Indeed. No, I didn't put the poll up yet because I keep getting distracted because I'm a moron. Last time we voted that we are going to be visiting a domestic place turned hostile, and I have 4 ideas. Sorry, I keep looking over there for my camera because that's where the camera used to be. I have 4 ideas, and I'm going to let you guys vote on them, and we're going to explore them. But bear in mind, each one of these environments is going to entail a completely different story, so vote carefully, okay? And use your judgment. Think about the type of enemies you're going to find, and what kind of places these will be, and what kind of environment it will be. Will it be indoors? Will it be outdoors? What will the weather be like? What kind of traps can we expect? What kind of enemies can we find? And I am going to pull up a new poll for you guys to vote on, and if I can remember how to be a YouTuber. So, domestic place turned hostile. So, where will we be exploring in the first episode? Alright. Forgive me, guys. I have to type all these in. I can't just copy and paste them, otherwise it'll like jump and be awkward. Alright, are you ready? Here we go. Alright then. Yep, some nightmares never end. Yep. Gem Corporation confirmed. Yeah, all the people that get sacrificed, I don't actually eat them, I employ them. They just end up trapped here, working in my office. Okay, so, again, I want you guys to vote on what these ideas could be and what you think would be the best one. So we have a number of different ones here. Now, the first is a hotel. Now, bear in mind, a hotel would be very, very similar to the mall. But it would be more like what you experience the mall like if it was in the Pale City or in a more rural area, perhaps with a beachfront or something like. Well, saying that the Pale City has a beachfront as well, which does allow for some more exploration. But hotel has kind of been done because if we think about the kind of enemies we could come across in a hotel, there's not too many that we could really branch into. You know, there's a receptionist, there's a cleaner, there's managers, there's chefs. You know, it's all the sort of things that we've kind of already seen. So that would be the one that I'm probably least enthused by. The next one is a cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac is awesome because it gives us an outdoor environment, but you can blend it between outdoor and indoor, but it's also linear. A cul-de-sac is like a street that runs into a dead end. So a cul-de-sac sort of literally goes like, let me scribble for you guys. So it's literally like you. This is my blank canvas. This is my amazing artwork. So you go onto the street. This is the road here, right there. That's the road, and then you've just got like a ring of houses all the way around, and the road just runs all the way around like that. And you've got little houses around the outside, like so. It's like a small neighborhood, if you will. So it's just a road that goes up and around. But our characters might have to go between the road and in the houses, like in and out of the houses, just to get in and away, because they could be being pursued or chased by something. Also, you probably can't see any of what I'm actually scribbling. So, but yeah, so that's the idea of a cul-de-sac, and I really like that one. I think it's a really cool concept because it allows us to go inside and outside and meet varied enemies that would live there, like the people that live in the neighborhood, and that gives us a really broad spectrum of what kind of enemy we could get. Because in a cul-de-sac, you could get the postman, the milkman, the neighbours, the gardener, you know, like people like that, the head of the housing association, like the big boss with the really big house at the end of it, you know, stuff like that you could explore, which I think would be really cool. And that will be an awesome thing to pursue. Daycare is another one that I've took some notes on because I really like the idea. And when we were looking at a daycare, we were like, well, a daycare would be kind of small. And it's like, well, yes, it would, but it would also be a brilliant environment because if we think about a daycare in the nowhere, you can twist something that is predominantly supposed to be a very pleasant, calm, relaxed, friendly environment, very welcoming, right? It's a daycare. It's supposed to be designed to take care of children, but you could mess with that concept in so many twisted ways. And like it's just dawning on me how dark that is that I said that with a smile on my face. But the point is, you could even make it horrifying in that the children are like the bullies or the shadow kids in a way. So the actual children, you could have a concept for the children and they could be like, I don't know, the toddlers or something. And they could be, you know, the images. I thought maybe we could utilize some of the images we saw on the mall. You know, when you're in the mall in the ladies' quarters and you go up the staircase and she's got all of the pictures on the walls and paintings of children, but they're all deformed and strange and twisted and augmented. Some of them look like, you know, clown shaped, or some they look like they're wearing the masks. They could be the toddlers that we happen across in the daycare, and they might be like a primary enemy. And then, of course, you get, like, the attendants that take care of them, and there might be one or two of those. And then you get, like, the main big boss. It's like the matron or something. Like, you know, the whoever's running the show, whoever's in charge of it. And then, of course, the last one we've got is the retirement home. And again, a retirement home could be something that's... I don't know, it's... I'm thinking very dull, right? Like slow paced. It feels almost safe because the characters in it would be like the enemies you would find within it would be elderly. So some of them would even be like attached to their chairs and would serve more as an alarm system than anything because they can't get up and chase you around because they're not like active, right? They're not like, oh my god, they don't get up and chase you. They're ancient. Their bodies aren't very functional. They could be frail and fractious and weak, and they might even be like bonded to their chairs somehow, like stitched into their chairs or something. But they might just make a whole lot of noise, like bang their walking sticks or something like that to alert one of the attendants who's going to come and take care of them. And then it'd be like, oh, there's a child in my room, and then the attendants have to come and deal with you, and they're the real problem. But yeah. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me read a few of your comments. Yes, Stinkles is right. The counties is basically the world that we live in. We live in the counties, I think. That's at least what's alluded to in the comics and the Sounds of Nightmares. If I could change my vote now, I don't want Gemini to have to redo something. Hey, don't worry. This is entirely based on the majority decision. So you guys vote for whatever you want because I like all of these ideas, which is why they're in the poll. I'm happy to go with any of these. Just adapting the story and making it make sense. That's going to be my job. I'm going to be the one to have to like string the pieces of the puzzle together and develop a narrative and make the character that we choose fit with this environment and model the monster concepts and things like that. We're going to discuss them and brainstorm them. But then I'm going to sit down with a team of artists and we're going to brainstorm ideas. We're going to draw up real concepts and then I'm going to get back to you guys and show you them. My artist has already been in and taken a look at the characters that you guys submitted to me and redrew a bunch of them as well. So like redrew them in their own style, how you would expect them to be seen in the series when it comes to be. So if we do end up using your character, we can either use your artwork personally, if you prefer, because a lot of you guys that submitted were in fact artists of your own, or if you're not too proud of your artwork or if you're not too confident in your artwork, I can have my artist like Propimal or Rocco or Katsy or somebody like that draw up your concept and then bring it to life on the screen if you're not particularly good at art, because I am not particularly good at art, so I usually ask one of these very talented individuals to help me out with these kind of projects. And that's what we'll do. In fact, I've done it with characters Mercus and Nancy and Garden, who were all who were all submitted to me and my team by people who are in the chat right now. Speaking of, my chat just crashed. So I'm just gonna quickly bring chat back. Bring it back now, y'all. Come back, I say. Damn it. Why are you like this? Why do you torment me so? Ooh, Daycare looks to be winning the vote at the moment. Daycare up at 39%. I'm going to leave it there for a while because obviously not everybody is going to get a chance to stop into the stream, and I really do want it to reflect the majority decision. That's why I'm leaving these polls up for so long, because I want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. I don't want to just like jump the gun too early and vote out to, like, call it a day too soon. In case I do someone an injustice, somebody might pull in the next couple of minutes who's like, oh, my one vote would have made the difference between a daycare and a hotel. I was super excited and I missed it. I don't want people to miss that. Like, granted, I can't stay here all night. I can't leave it there all night. It's not going to. There has to be a limit to what I can do to accommodate everybody here. But in my best chance, sorry, to give me the best chance of pleasing everybody and to get the most consistent overhaul, I think it's best to leave this vote up for quite a while and let everybody vote on what they think is going to be the best environment for us to explore moving forward into this new concept. Because remember, we still have a couple more votes to go, and one of them is going to be deciding which character is going to do this. And this character, we've already decided, is going to be one of your designs. In fact, all of these environments that we've chosen were also pitched by you. In the last stream, it was our viewers that discussed and brainstormed these ideas with us, and some of you suggested a hotel, some of you suggested daycare, some of you suggested a retirement home, and some of you suggested a cul-de-sac. And we talked about it and we expanded on it. There were a lot of other places as well that were suggested and recommended, and it's not to say that they can't be used in future videos. We can absolutely explore more of them. This is just purely based on what the first episode is going to look like. So if it doesn't go your way today, if you voted cul-de-sac and it goes daycare, don't worry, because we'll probably still use the cul-de-sac in a further episode. If you really like one character and another one gets the vote, then that's absolutely fine, because it doesn't mean that your character isn't going to be in episode 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. We're going to continue to do this as long as you guys enjoy doing it. That's the plan. Guys, since my birthday is coming up, should I ask my dad for Descent to Nowhere, yes or no? Yes, absolutely. Descent to Nowhere is awesome. What if one of the enemies used their wheelchair to run the protagonist over in the retirement home? I mean, it's not outside of the realm of possibility, to be fair. I thought about a retirement home being a location. I feel like it would be pretty... Oh, Catsy, what on earth is that? Forgive me, everyone. I'm going to proceed to ignore you all momentarily while I digest what just happened. Love heart. Like. Please, somebody do me a favour and drop me tons of freaky deaky eyeballs in the chat for lovely lady Catsy. I'm dropping eyeballs myself. I'm gonna drop more, you can't stop me. Look what you've done. Oh my cat. I feel bad. I don't have words. How am I supposed to process that? What am I supposed to... What? Why? Thank you. So sorry, I didn't even say that. Thank you. That is absolutely incredible and amazing, and you're a legend in every means. How do I... What do I say? What do I do to show how much I appreciate that? How is that... How you guys, you're responsible for this now. You guys thank her for me. You guys show me how important that is. I will scroll up, I promise you. I will read these comments. I will get back to everyone, I promise you. But that just, damn, Catsy. Jesus, mother of F. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting that today. Holy crap. You almost made me feel something. Like, for real. I don't have huge, massive W's in there. Seriously, bless you, Catsy. What an amazing thing to do. That is like that's a kindness and generosity that is so extremely rare and impossible for me to justify. The reason I'm stumbling so much is because normally I would be like, yes, thank you, I really appreciate that, and I do, and I want to, but that seems like so much that there's a part of me screaming, saying, give her it back, give her it back. You didn't earn it, you did nothing to deserve it, give her it back. And that's all I can hear in the back of my head now is, that's not for me, right? And it's not, for those of you guys that know, and I won't go on about it because it's not what today's stream's about, money from donations goes towards my mum. To help with it because she's sick and she needs treatment. And I said I'm not going to go into it, so I'm not. But that money isn't going in my pocket. I'm not using that. My mum's going to use that. It's for her because she's very poorly and she needs it. That's why it's so important to me, and that's why it's like that's the angel on my shoulder saying it's okay, you can accept it. It's going for a good cause. Imagine what your mum could do with it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Mum, look, my mum will watch this, by the way, so like my mum will see. But mum, I'm just gonna scroll up so she can see. You almost made me feel so psychopath Gem confirmed. You earned it, Sir Gemini. Thank you, Dariana. That's such a kind thing to say. Donation so big it almost warmed Gemini's cold British heart. I'm gonna screenshot some of these comments. They're absolute gold. Let me just go. Let me scroll back. I'm sorry. I was supposed to move forward, and now I can't because you've created this mountain that's going to be constantly staring me in the face every time I look at chat. Damn you, Catsy! Damn your generosity! Damn you, YouTube! I need something stronger than Cherry Cola Zero. Oh, my God. Thank you so much. So much. I have no words. I don't have words. Right. Forgive me. I am going to get back to chat and I'm going to start moving forward. I'm overly doing caretaker to a violent degree. I'm too young to start game development. Lies and deceit, Edward. You are not too young to start game development. I know a game developer. He's only 8 years old and he's brilliant, but he's extremely good. So if you're younger than 8 years old, maybe. But if you're older than 8 years old, and I doubt it, given your vocabulary, you are not too young to start game development. You can start practicing a skill at any age. In fact, the sooner you start, the better you'll get. If you were to start at 8 years old, when you get to 16, you could be like a fully qualified legend. Like you could be able to do things that people couldn't even imagine, especially with the technology that's going to come in over the next 8 years. Well, 6 years, since the world's going to end in 2032. Gemini, I've sent you a friend request on Discord to Gemini540, Vibe Check Man, whenever you're ready to hear about it. Yeah, you got it, Vibe Check Man, I will do. And again, I get a lot of messages on Discord, and they come through like chat. It's just like bing, 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 like every couple of minutes, like every day Every day I get between 80 and 100 messages, and I do try to respond to as many as I possibly can. It's just really hard to keep up. I promise I'll get back to you. I absolutely will. It just might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be for a week, but I will. I promise. 10 years worth of childcare experience. The staff were evil, not all of them, but some of them, so children were never the problem, it was the staff. Yeah, you see, this is the thing, and that's something else as well. My mum was raised in an orphanage, and the children weren't the problem there either. Staff were. And I could go, that's a whole other horror story, which is another reason why this particular area intrigues me so much when it comes to the, a residential area that's been corrupted by the nowhere. I think it's so cool. What's up, Kip? How's it going? Hi, Gemini. How long have you been streaming? Just popping in to say hi. Oh, I hope you haven't gone before I got a chance to say hello to you, but Catsy distracted me. But yeah, hi, Kip. We've been up for probably an hour. yeah, the better part of an hour now while I've just been gassing. But you know how I be. No. Read my chat messages. I've never seen a Little Nightmares fan game. You also said, oh, really? And that's it. See, oh, no. I have that. That's all I can see. So I'm sorry if I missed your messages, but you said, oh, really? And then I've never seen a Little Nightmares fan game. I've seen a couple. In fact, if you want to play one, It's Just Jord made one a while ago. But they're pretty easy to find. I reckon you can find them if you want. If you looking on YouTube. Try YouTube. In fact, just type in Little Nightmares fan game. In fact, if you want to see how the one that I'm making goes, go to a channel called The Oldest Nightmare. The Oldest Nightmare is my partner on a project we're working on where we're going to create a Little Nightmares 2 speculative DLC, but it's going to be playable. So you guys will be able to actually play it for yourselves. It's nowhere near finished, but we are still working on it, and it is a work in progress, but you'll be able to see what it looks like because he uploads progress videos to his own channel. That's the oldest nightmare. Okay. Here we go, yo. Sundrop from Five Nights at Freddy's 9 is the boss in Little Nightmares Daycare. I actually got to know what Sundrop was recently, and it would probably be quite fitting. Everyone gangster in the retirement home until they get a wheelchair. Yeah, retirement home would be a really cool one, actually. I think all of these can work. I think the only one that I'm not so sold on is the idea of a hotel, but only because I feel like the mall is a hotel, so it would feel like we're kind of ripping off Little Nightmares 1 if we did it. We'd have to go so far outside of the realm, like it'd have to be like a luxury hotel. So like you'd have to step outside of what you would normally find in a hotel. So I worked in a hotel for a while as a lifeguard. The swimming pool, because I literally worked. They had an underground swimming pool and jacuzzi, like a spa, and I worked there as a I was a lifeguard, but I was also like a gym attendant as well. So I had to do everything, you know, like testing the pool and things like that, and the chemical balances and such. But my main job was just make sure nobody drowns. But you know, if we were going to do something like that, I'd say why don't we just have a swimming pool or a theme park or something like that be our main area. What if the daycare was some sort of prison for the kids that I know? Yeah, exactly, right? That could be a kind of like in a weird way, like an orphanage. There was actually a movie, I reference this all the time and I can never remember what the movie's called. I think it might be Oliver Twist. There's an old movie where this dude, the main enemy in it, the main bad guy, is called the Child Snatcher, and he just goes around with a wagon, just picking up orphans off the street, just stealing them, the same as a dog catcher would. And nobody says anything because it's back in like the 1700s where nobody wanted children, or you know, people like orphans were just like found, like the street urchins they called them, and they were just seen as a blight on society because they would just go around like stealing food and making mess and causing problems. It's just like, oh, somebody get rid of these street urchins, and just chuck them in the back of the child snatcher's van and he'd disappear with them and no one knows what happened. Probably sold them into slavery or something like that, but yeah. Whatever that works. Yes, long time no see, and happy holidays to you too, and happy new year in fact. Yes, actually, Sasha's right. The craftsman did run over the girl in the yellow raincoat in Very Little Nightmares. Aspen Girls, fun fact: the setting I made up for Gad and my OC submission had an orphanage area where the enemies were the ghosts of the children and the mother. Ooh, interesting. Oh, that's cool. I like that you have some backstory in there. I hope to see Mercs in your style, and again I used character creator. It wasn't drawn by me, but I did do Photoshop for it. Hey, don't worry, I showed it to one of my artists called Rocco, and Rocco said, I really like the concept of it having this tentacle kind of thing. Do you want it just drawn exactly as it is? And I was like, yeah, just draw it, but like as you would see it in the image, so we could potentially animate it in the future. He said, I got you. And he sent me an image that I think you'll really like. I'll show it to you in a minute, but we will get to that soon. But for now, I am going to close out this vote because I am miles behind on chat. There was someone who asked me to read their messages that I wasn't reading. Bro, please read my comment. It's up, please. Bro, read my comment, which is up. Bro, just think, Little Nightmares 4 to start up in a big prison with first 2 floors being outside and the rest inside for the floor meeting room. Yeah, so, that's actually cool because it could be kind of like, if you've ever seen Alcatraz prison, you probably haven't seen Alcatraz prison because you're not a stranger that likes like exploring really morbid concepts like me. But Alcatraz prison is basically that. It's just a massive prison on an island. The entire island is the prison, and you can't really escape from it because even if you escape the prison, you know, by some chance you scale the 40-foot walls or you drill under the 16 feet thick concrete, and you manage to escape the armed guards that will absolutely shoot you on sight if they catch you trying to escape. The only place to go is into the ocean, and it's like friggin' 40 miles from shore, so you'll freeze to death or drown or both before you get, like, if you escape this place. That's actually a really cool concept. A prison in the nowhere would be absolutely terrible. I agree with that. Sorry it took so long to get your comment, by the way. I am distracted. It's been a while since I've done this. Also, Gem, I have a theory that the girl is actually the main character because she's visually the odd one out compared to everyone else, and she wears an animal mask. She has no shoes, etc. Yeah, that's interesting. Theory regarding the animal. You've just reminded me. I neglected to upload my Reanimal video. I did actually play the Reanimal demo, and I absolutely loved it, and I made a video on it, and I was supposed to upload it last week, but I got really sick, and I was like, my brain, like, I got, like, brain sick, like, you know, I had to, so I couldn't YouTube. I couldn't do my job effectively, so, yeah, I apologise for that, but that will be coming as well, and I will be making theory videos, at least a couple of theory videos surrounding Reanimal. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's actually a really good note, especially considering Tarsier have made similar artistic links to that very character before. I started development at 12, never too young. Yes, exactly. Demon Bug is right. And I'd really love to see the Perfect Lady make an appearance in DLC. I think she'd look really scary. Yes, she would, actually. Yeah. No worries, CC, I'll see you soon. Gem, I'm 16, lol. Anyways, what I meant is that I don't have much time for a good PC to start game development. Yes, now that's understandable because the software and the hardware is a bit of a difficult thing. However, you can start with research. I'm not saying that it's like, obviously game development is... You need a PC, obviously. You need a laptop, you need the hardware to be able to do it. But... when I first started in game development, and again, I can't game develop because I abandoned the idea, but it was always something I wanted to do when I was in school. And back when I was like 12 or 13, people would say, what do you want to do when you're older? And I said, I want to make video games. I didn't realise how hard making video games was. So I ended up becoming what I've become now, where I do this that we're doing as a collective right now, I do regularly. If you watch my speculative DLC series, that is me creating a video game. So I would like consider those environments, the tie-ins, the characters, the links, the monsters, the music, the atmosphere, and everything like that, and I'll try and build a game. The only thing is I can't build the game, but you can design it. You can brainstorm, you can sketch, you can draw, you can and you can learn. So even if you have to start out on paper, just developing the story, and then thinking about the atmosphere, and then you can use YouTube and other like I don't want to like go promoting AI tools necessarily, but you can use online tools to synthesize like atmospheric music or sound effects and things like that as well that you could like build into your game. And then you could have an idea of how it's going to play out. That's exactly what I did, but I cannot develop the game. I just don't have the capacity or the time for it. But my friend the Oldest Nightmare absolutely does, because that's what they do. They're a game developer. So I had to go into a partnership, and that's exactly what you could do. If you walk into a room full of game developers with a fully flushed out design that you've thought of, you know, the narrative, the story, the atmosphere, the environments, the characters, and everything else, you know the lore, right? You can write a lore Bible without touching a PC. And if you were to do that and then get to know other people in the space, you could develop your skill set and eventually learn how to become a game designer. But if you, like myself, don't have the time or the hardware or even the software or the knowledge, you can work with people who do. And then you can use your strengths, they can use their strengths, and you can come up with a product that is effectively your dream come true, which is what me and the Oldest Nightmare are working on at the moment. Never too young. You might be you might be slower to start, much like I was, but it's not impossible, I promise you. Did you read my comment in the door note? You know what, Catsy? I don't think I did. Give me 1 second. For you and Mama Gemma Luna, Gemini, I couldn't watch this stream without doing another door note. Enjoy, sweetheart. Both you and your ma deserve it. Thank you. Stop. Stop making me feel almost. But yes, my mum will see that. My mum's going to have a lot to say about that. My mum's probably going to shout. My mum's probably going to make me send you it back. but yeah, sorry, I was so overwhelmed by the number and and then all the eyeballs and everything. I just completely forgot to read the comment that was attached to it. Thank you, Catsy. My mum will really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you thinking of my mum as well. It's always very wholesome when people think about my mum. You're like, how many victims have you stabbed? What, today? Uh-oh. Connect your encoder to start. Uh-oh. Did my stream just end? I really hope my stream didn't end, because on my screen it's gone black. So I don't know what that means. I'm just hoping that it's still up and running. I'm going to try refreshing that screen. There you go. Yeah, my decoder just a little bit. I see, because the bitrate keeps dropping. Ah, shoot. I'm really sorry, guys. You're probably getting super subpar. You might be getting a lot of buffering at the moment, but again, I'll say it again, it's my excuse. I'm currently sharing my internet with my new neighbours, so they've just moved in recently to the house next door. They have no internet, so they came and asked me, is there any chance we can hook up to your Wi-Fi while we get our internet installed, but it's going to be a little while we refurbish the house. I said, yeah, of course, not a problem, because I want to be a good neighbour. Problem is, it eats my bandwidth, because that's why I can't have the TV on in the background, because it uses the internet. So my apologies if the stream's looking a bit subpar at the moment. But anyway, since that, yeah, we're still here, just some buffering. Right, good stuff. Yeah, I apologise for the buffering, guys, and forgive me, I am going to have to skip a couple of comments. I just want to read this person's one more, because you said you got some good ideas for Little Nightmares 4. Prison, invisible boss, old house, artist, daycare lady, old mall, people you get in someone's bag. Oh yeah, I like that. I actually like that. The idea of like climbing into somebody's shopping bag. Just think it would be so cool. Psycho being one of Otto's patients who we sent before. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that could be cool as well. Need to hire pixel animations ASAP for the Christmas tree. You're making Chair and I break character. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you want to share your ideas with me, please do. And yeah, if you want to share them here, you want to share them in Discord, you want to send me an email, feel free to do that. I really appreciate it. It's really cool. Okay, I'm going to close this poll, and I'm going to read up the results. I think we've had enough time to look into that. Where will we be exploring in the first episode? So 40% of you people are going for hotel. Now that surprises me a lot, because I think the hotel arguably gives us the least area to explore, or at least the least but it's going to force us to be creative. No, neither was I, Catsy. I was not expecting hotel to perform so well. Yeah, there's a couple of people saying I wasn't expecting. Wait, Rexo's channel, what did you say, Rexo? Rexo. Please answer honestly in the word actually ending in... Oh, is the world actually ending in 2032, or is that just a random joke? I don't get it again. Please answer seriously. I have serious anxiety when it comes to my mortality. No, it's the world isn't... As far as I'm aware, the world isn't actually ending in 2032. There is... What's actually happening, and the reason I keep saying that is because there is... So NASA, the National Aerospace Association, detected a asteroid that is going to make its closest pass to Earth ever. It's going to be like the closest in space object that we've ever observed that's going to come anywhere remotely close to Earth. And in 2032 it's going to pass by dangerously close, as in it could hit us. but it's not like a world-ending dinosaur-level asteroid. It's a pretty big rock, and it'll probably it's like an airburst rock, so it won't even hit the ground. It'll explode in the air if it does, but wherever it explodes, it'll do some damage. And I'm like, but when I first read that was dictated as like the world is ending in 2032 because this particular asteroid is going to land, it's going to explode. So me naturally having anxiety issues like yourself, I thought, oh, I better look into this big rock and see how long we've got left to live. And it turns out the chances of it hitting are remote at best. Like the chances of us actually going to hell in 2032, like, we're much more likely to end each other. Right, like the nuclear war is more likely to happen than this rock actually doing any real damage. And even if it does hit, the chances of it significantly affecting human life is like less than 1%. And that's if it hits. And the chances of it actually hitting are also less than 1%. So, like, don't worry, you've got a better chance of winning the lottery twice before 2032 than the world actually ending in 2032. So start buying some scratch cards, but don't worry. Like, genuinely, Rexar, it's okay. Yeah, I am actually really surprised that Hotel won, but that seems to be the decision for everybody, well, at least the majority of folks in the chat. So, Hotel it is. I'm going to trust the process. I have to trust you guys, and I've got to trust that 40% of you said that the hotel is a good idea. Now, you're going to have a chance to justify that, because that brings us to the next question. What is our enemy going to be? Like, what enemy, what bad guys can we face in here? And this is going to be quite quick, and it's not going to come to a vote necessarily. It's just something I want to brainstorm. Because when I was thinking about a hotel, I'm thinking, well, they have a receptionist, that's an idea. They have a manager, obviously. They have a pool attendant. And then they have, like, chefs and waiters and room service and things like that. But then I'm like, okay, we've had a janitor, we've had the wax bellman, we've had the lady, we've had the chefs, we've had the guests, we've done a hotel. And it sort of hit me that it's like, hang on a minute, we've already done a hotel before. So, what do you guys think? Go ahead and brainstorm for me a couple of ideas, because this doesn't mean we're redoing them all. It means that we have to come up with an idea that's completely separate from them all. So we can't really have a chef. Okay, we can't really have chefs, and we should probably avoid a janitor. But there are a lot of other people who will be in hotels. So there are other concepts that we could explore within a hotel environment. So let's think about some of those. Feel free to pitch them. I will read them, and then we'll do a bit of brainstorming, and then we'll get to the meat of this stream, which is going to be voting on which character you guys are going to choose to undergo this adventure. But for now, what do you think? Yes, Katsy, you achieved the impossible. A bellman maybe just not made with wax. See, now, I'm not opposed to exploring a bellhop or a receptionist of some kind, because that idea, although it already kind of exists in the wax bellman, he was not utilised in any measurable way. In fact, I used him more in my speculative DLC series than Tazier actually did when they invented the character. So I'm not opposed to the idea of a receptionist or a bellhop. He will be different. He could even be a young version of the wax bellman. Or he could be an old version of the wax bellman, because we haven't necessarily decided when this is going to take place either. So he could be like the wax bellman after the Maw. Maybe after 6 left, maybe the wax bellman escaped. Or, because she did away with his employer. Or something like that. So, let's see. The hotel itself could be a monster, and that is something to consider, very much like the signal tower. But also, I don't think it would necessarily be. In fact, I think something we should do with the hotel is make it a maze. I think the hotel should be a maze of like similar to the signal tower was, now that I'm thinking about it. But I think a really interesting way to do it would be to make it a building that's really obscure. And I'm basing this on a serial killer called H.H. Holmes. And H.H. Holmes literally designed a hotel. He was very, very rich, very wealthy. And he built a hotel where he would systematically murder guests. And he was very good at it because he built a lot of secret doors, secret rooms, everything was monitored. There were stairways that went to nowhere. There were doors that opened up into brick walls. And some of his corridors would even shift and change Harry Potter style. So you'd go into a room and come out of that room in a different hallway. And the hotel just didn't make sense. You'd end up trapped in it and then he'd kill you while you were in it. And he murdered loads of people. Absolutely loads of people. And if we're basing a character like on somebody like H.H. Holmes, he was essentially the hotel's manager. And he was like very well to do. You know, he wore a suit, he was very handsome, he was well groomed. He didn't look like a psychopathic serial killer, he looked like a hotel manager. So we could have that as our major boss. So we could have the manager. And he would serve very much the same purpose as the lady, but his purpose would be the same, but his motives would be different. For some reason, I kind of imagine him looking like the Overman. I know that's Otto now. You know, the image is like what Otto became in the Nowhere is the image that the Overman was famous for using before Little Nightmares 3 made Otto that character. The Overman did it first, but they have already used that design. It's not to say we can't take inspiration from that design, and I think I absolutely will. But I do also like to tie back into existing lore, so we could try to do that. But the manager is one that I think could be cool, and having the concept of a maze-like structure that changes so it's really difficult to navigate could add a level of tension. So it's like, you know, if I go in this room, what's going to happen? You know, if I go in this room, even though the door's wide open, what if it closes? And then, you know, I can't get back to this point that I really need to be at or something. You know, we could add a level of tension that way. Younger version, yeah, Stinkles liked an idea of the younger version of the Wax Bellman. Christmas tree decoration in the hotel is boss. It's January now. I mean, it's not to say that we can't make this the winter arc. But, yeah. Maybe there is a creature that patrols the halls and enters the rooms to pick up stuff. Like room service. But also like security. What do you think, Dariana? Do you think more like room service, like a room cleaner? You know, someone that's supposed to go in and take care of all of the rooms while they're empty, with a cleaning job, or are you thinking more security, where they go in and they check for anything that's subpar or not quite up to standard? This is probably a bad idea, but maybe the hotel is abandoned, so we could see what's taken over the place after all the people are gone. Kind of if we were in the mall after what 6 did to it. Yeah, see, that would actually be a cool concept, but I'd really like to save that idea, Aspen, only because I think if Little Nightmares don't do it eventually, that's something I'm going to explore myself. I've been thinking about that idea for a while, and it's kind of in the works at the moment, where it's my idea is basically 6 takes over the mall, but she doesn't necessarily take over the mall, she crashes it. She crashes it into the shores, and she abandons it, and she just leaves it there to rot. But some hero that we're going to come up with, an OC that I've got in the back of my mind at the moment, that is in like early stage development at the moment, because I'm thinking about how they're going to traverse it, goes back to the mall. So it's going to be familiar places, and there's going to be some stuff that's still there, but it's going to be like only halfway submerged. So like half of it'll be full of water. And stuff like that, and then the other half is going to be like, you know, all run down and rusted and rotten, and it's all going to be like tilted onto one side, because it crashed into the beach, but because of the shape of the maw being like rounded at the top and then it tapers towards the bottom, it'll land. When it hits the beach, it's going to topple. So it's going to sit sideways. So we're going to have to navigate most of the environments by climbing rather than walking, which is going to change a lot of the ways we explore them all. And we're going to get to see, like, you know, the ladies' quarters, but it's going to be all damp and rotted, and all the paintings are going to have faded and worn away with the water damage and stuff. So I really like your idea, but so much so that I intend to use it in something else. But it would be really cool. It's not to say that we can't, but I also feel like having an abandoned place is going to be a bit more difficult to find monsters that belong in a hotel environment. Because remember, we're trying to stick to the majority vote, and the majority voted that they want a domestic place turned hostile, and the majority vote want it to be a hotel. So we kind of have to stick to the program for the moment. What other ideas do we have? A bellhop that actually hops to move around. And then wears a little bell around their neck so you can hear them coming. And like that, even though it's kind of goofy and like a silly kind of concept, it's like, it's really eerie because you can make it like, it seems like a really goofy concept, but you can make the creature really, really horrifying. So you just like, it moves like really awkwardly like a frog. You could even use a frog for its facial structure, you know, like give the character, design it with like a wide face and big eyes and a huge gaping mouth. I actually really like that, Catsy. That'd be really cool. The bellhop. I like that. I'm going to write that down. I think that's really cool. I think I've got like a good image in my mind for what that creature could look like as well, if it is something that we decide on doing. Again, these are all brainstorm ideas that we're probably going to vote on if in the later in later streams, because again, I don't have all night to be doing this. In fact, I only have about another 40 minutes before I've got to get back to work. So let's see. Maybe there's a creature. Oh yeah, I've already read that one. Sorry. Hotel should be big, like really big. Yes. Oh no, and I agree. It should be absolutely massive, because we need to explore like all levels of it. Amazing. Lol. You know, I have a good idea for how the Wax Bellman ends up being the Wax Bellman. Ooh, Caleb, this is cool. That's a good idea. What if, guys, right, hear me out. This is cool. And Caleb, please share your idea, because I think you and I might be on the same wavelength here kind of thing. But imagine we meet the bellhop in this, well, not necessarily the bellhop, but we meet the Wax Bellman, and he's like a receptionist kind of thing. He's like, you know, he's a receptionist, he's a bag carrier, you know, he takes the bags up to the rooms and everything, he gets the tips, you know, but whatever. He's the Wax Bellman, but he's not wax, he's not melted. You know, he looks almost presentable in a way. You know, his face is a bit more up and proper, but in this one, we meet him in his earlier days as he's younger, in like his first job or something like that, and he ends up chasing us. You know, what if he ends up chasing our protagonist and he ends up in some kind of furnace room, you know, something that powers it out, or in the kitchens or something like that, and he ends up getting burned and melted. Like we could trap him in a sauna. We could visit the spa. Like a hotel might have a gym in it, and that gym might have a spa. Like the gym I worked in, the hotel I worked in had a gym, which was where I worked. It could have a sauna. We could have to trap the bellman in the sauna, and he melts over time. He doesn't die though, and he becomes the Wax Bellman who eventually gets employed on the moor. But he has to work out on the moor because he's so grotesquely disfigured that nobody in the Pale City will employ him. So he has to work out on the moor. I don't know. I was just messing with that idea. But like, Caleb, please expand. I'd like to know what you have to say on that. Wasn't Jigsaw from Saw inspired by H.H. Holmes? Quite possibly, actually. Stinkles, that's a possibility. Jim talking about the murder castle wasn't on my bingo list for 2026. Oh, it should have been, Alex. It should have been. I think that kind of thing is fascinating. Morbid and awful, but fascinating, right? Ooh, giant hotel worm who will crawl in the hotel. Yeah, we could explore monster concept as well, because I know that the Nowhere does tend to lean very much towards humanoid enemies, but that's not to say that some of the other creatures there aren't just as scary, aren't just as twisted. We don't really get to meet any like animal based enemies apart from, like the leeches and the beetles and stuff like that, but there could very well be some kind of what about this? What about a drain worm? What about one that's like a permanent threat no matter which floor you go to? No matter how high, you can start at the bottom of the hotel, you can go to the top of the hotel, but this thing can always chase you. But it's sort of like it's restricted to like the bathrooms, like areas where there's pipes. So it uses the pipes to travel, and it's like a big worm, like a giant leech with teeth. Imagine it like what's one of the, like a lamprey. One of those creatures in the ocean where it's like a giant, like 30-foot worm with a mouth that's just all teeth. And it lives in the drains, and it can just pop out of like the bathtubs, the toilets, the showers, and things like that, the sinks in the kitchens, and it's just like a constant threat that's always there, so you're never safe. So even if we don't have like an enemy, like a humanoid enemy, like the manager or the bellhop or a janitor of some description, then we still have this creature that could possibly be in any room we go in at any given time. I'm just gonna call it drain worm for the moment. There you go. I mean, that's quite cool. Otto died and he is free. He is unable to take up the pain. He's unable to take up the pain and runs to the jungle near and vanishes. We will see him again later in another DLC or Little Nightmares games. We probably will see Otto again. I actually agree that we'll see Otto, because I think we're going to see Otto again in the Secret of the Spiral. Excuse me, this fizzy pop is bad for me. Could the walls breathe and the floors move slightly to show it's alive? Yeah, absolutely. We could mess with that. We could have it as like one of the weaker, creatures. So like the maw is very solid, isn't it? It's like it's not very evident that the maw is a living organism. But the signal tower, when it's weakened, when its host is being pulled from it, when Mono goes to rescue 6, it starts to fall apart, and then it becomes very vulnerable in a state of like, we can see you now. Its disguise is broken, the illusion is corrupted. So, we could have breathing. We can have breathing and fractious. In my notes. Excellent decision. Where did I get to? Please read my 4 comments in a row, please, 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 please. I'll try. Hang on. Jesus Christ. See, you guys complain at me and say, oh my god, he's so far behind on chat. Why does he take so long to read my comments? But then you also say, go and read my 5 comments up there, back to back. Read them all. What do you want from me? Right. Okay, here is a concept of Psycho. We know Otto sent someone before coming to the Nowhere. Thinks Psycho was a good person, but due to Otto's experiment, he turns mentally ill. Now he's controlled by Otto. Scrolling down. Last, because of main protagonist's work, and Psycho thinks that Otto sent him, and then he gives the main protagonist the end chase. However, he will catch the main protagonist, and next we'll see him die as... Otto died and he is free, and he is unable to take up the pain and runs into the jungle and vanishes. So, like, are you suggesting that the previous person who he sent into the Nowhere could be the reason why, when we see Otto's institution complex in Little Nightmares 3, that's why it's covered in, like, vines and venomous tentacular and mushrooms and all of, like, it's all overgrown in the wilderness kind of thing? Do you think that's why? Because the previous person he sent there is sort of still linked to that area before Otto arrived? Is that what you're suggesting? Hello, Gaius. A hotelier. Hotelier, I like that. That's actually a really good name as well. Blind giant worm in the hotel. Ooh, blind giant worm. That could be cool. Yeah, I was thinking it wouldn't have eyes anyway, but just like playing on the fact that it's blind could actually really make for a really cool environmental tension, because we'll have to creep through the environments and it'll be there, but it won't know we're there. It won't be able to see us. Kind of like the janitor. We can like revisit that concept. That's cool. Also, the Institute had a lot of pink mushrooms, right? Well, in the secret ending, you can see those same mushrooms in a corner of the window. What do you think about it? I think that the mushrooms definitely play a very important part, because there's a specific area that seems to be like where he's intentionally trying to cultivate these mushrooms, and I think that the mushrooms could be what he's using to drug people, because like psychedelic mushrooms and stuff like that, they like not drug the children, by the way. I think he's using them to drug himself. A lot of people, and please don't take this out of context because this is a weird one, but this is something I've read and something that I've looked into a little bit. But people often experience psychedelic effects when on mushrooms. Certain types of mushrooms produce a certain neurological release of like endorphins and stuff that send you into a state of essentially like psychosis, and it's very hard to tell if it's a dream or it's reality, and everything's kind of warped and weird, and I don't know how to describe it because I've never tried it myself, but people often report experiences of visiting other worlds, right? And use it as like a gateway to escape the Matrix and things like that, you know, to converse with God or to see beyond the veil and things like that. And I think that Otto was trying to utilize these drugs and these magic mushrooms to try and synthesize some kind of powder as a means to access the nowhere through being high, basically, like MDMA, like a particular drug that would have you say, again, I have no idea about any kind of drugs, so those of you guys that are chemists or actually know drugs will be thinking this guy's a freaking idiot, because I'm very ignorant to drugs. I have no idea. I've never taken them. I know a lot of people that do, but you know, no judgment. But I also don't ask about it because I have no interest in doing it. But from what I recall, there's certain drugs that allow you to sort of see into what you would perceive in your mind as another world. And Otto might see that as, you know, he eats these mushrooms and it sort of it weakens the barrier between the counties and the nowhere, and then he's able to use that to step through. And maybe the mushrooms are the way he dragged himself into the nowhere. I think that's what the mushrooms represent anyway. Exactly what I was thinking. Great, yeah, he said, Caleb, I'm really glad we were on the same wavelength there. What if the hotel ends up burning down and that's why he's melted in the website? Yeah, exactly. So, yes, Stinkles, that's actually really good. So, the hotel could burn down. Right? And that actually ties into the melancholic feel, because at the end of this we might be left with no choice but to burn down the hotel, and as the hotel burns down we're left with, you know, an ambiguous disappearance. Does our character survive or do they not? And we don't know, but it leaves that option open for future endeavours, right? I really like that. I like the idea of the hotel burning down, and it could also explain why the bellman ends up melted too. So Wax Bellman could be tied into that, but he's not quite the Wax Bellman yet. Or he could still be the Wax Bellman, but his wax is a lot more intact. So when my artists draw him up, he could be a lot tidier and maybe have quite a friendly expression on his face. Maybe a more youthful appearance, potentially. Maybe even a slightly different uniform. Excellent. I like that, Stinkles. That's really cool. Stupid ads. Oh, I'm sorry, Unknown. You're still getting ads. Will there be any wildfire because the hotel burns down? Potentially, depending on where we set the hotel. We could set the hotel up in a town or a cityscape, or we could set it in like a beach type environment, a more exotic style environment. What do you guys think? The vents, yes, the vents, Dariana, exactly. So it's a sequel or prequel at first. It could be either. We are undecided. But we're still brainstorming whether or not it's going to... Well, actually, I think if the Bellman's going to be in it, then it has to be a prequel to the first one. So we'll have to bear that in mind as well. That is a very good point. You bring up an excellent point. It has to be a prequel. If we're explaining how the Wax Bellman became the Wax Bellman, then it's going to have to be a prequel to Little Nightmares 1. So it has to take place somewhere between Very Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 1. So yes, yeah, we actually have a lot of leeway there. That actually gives us plenty of time to play with. Demogorgon Worm, yeah, pretty much, guys, yeah. I like the idea of the hotel being the final boss, kind of like the Maw concept, but people stay in the rooms and be sacrifices to the hotel. It could be a whole ritual. Yeah, potentially the hotel... Oh, Catsy, here's a cool one. So potentially as the hotel sort of collapses in on itself and starts to fade as it's burning, we could explore the final boss maybe being... do you remember the concept art for the Monster Baby? There was also, in fact, I'll tell you what, guys. Let me just change up real quick. I'm just going to change my screen to this. And then I'm going to drop my background behind the display. Is that it? There you go. Right. Then I'm going to open up my desktop and... Little Nightmares, there you go. I'll scroll down to the art book because I want to share this idea with you guys. Right. There was some concept art of the signal tower that I saw. That's the picture I was talking about earlier, by the way. That one. Where is it? Talk you through when I get to it. 1 second. It was concept art that I saw. This stuff. Okay, so like this idea could be, the hotel burns down, right? And as it's burning down, the hotel absorbs the people that are in it, like this. Okay, it starts to absorb and pull the people in it. The hotel starts to collapse and fall apart and melt and distort. It creates the Wax Bellman, but he manages to separate himself from it at the last second and he gets away. But the rest of the hotel becomes essentially the final boss, which we have to escape as it's collapsing, and it absorbs everyone in it. So all of the guests that are sleeping in the rooms and things like that all get pulled into its being and used to chase, attack, and otherwise distract our protagonist, and it ends up being something like this, one of these designs, maybe the furnace creature here, or this this sticky concept, or these flesh walls, like something like this. Do you get what I'm getting at? Do you understand where I'm coming from with this? Also, I'm going to bring up chat on screen so you guys can see yourselves, so that you guys can see what I can see, so that now you guys can actually see chat. I know you can already see chat, but with this that's on screen, that chat right there, now you guys can see what I can see. Yeah? So if your message is not on that screen, I can't see it. Okay? So please don't think you're being ignored if you've said something and I haven't read it. There's a good chance it's not on that screen. But anyway, what do you guys think of that? The Catsy's recommended that the entire building be the final enemy. It's going to burn down, thus creating the Wax Bellman in doing so. But when it does, the hotel itself is going to become our final enemy, very much like the signal tower did as we make our escape. Or lack thereof, because the ending's going to be like an ambiguous disappearance. We're keeping it open-ended, so there's potential for our character to have escaped, and we're going to hint at the fact that they could have escaped towards the end, but we're going to keep it closed, because that was a decision that was made last time, according to the votes that went on the last one. So, I'm just going to write down Burning Hotel. Amalgamation. Boss. Cool. Awesomeness. Awesome sauce. Yeah, there could absolutely be a pool in the hotel as well. I was thinking that might be a good like secondary enemy, or as like a quick area that we pass through, but also that might be where we meet the drain worm, if we are going to include the drain worm in there. But I'm going to write pool, because if it's anything, I've sort of got an image of what this hotel is going to look like in my head. And again, I'm going to have some of you wonderful artists and some of the artists that weren't able to make it to the stream draw up this concept for me when when I've had time to think about it and tie it into what we're, the finished product when it's actually done. But I'm feeling like we're going to start at the bottom of the hotel, and in my head, this hotel is going to look very much like the hotel I worked in, because the hotel I worked in was an old Victorian hotel that was built in like the 1600s. But it has a pool in the basement, like the underground. You have to take a lift underground, and you walk in, and it's like a cave. It's all done up very nice. It's a very posh hotel. But it's still rigged up to be like where like the royals would go, or where very important and rich people would go back in the day. But it's still very like antique and ornate. Everything's gilded, with the big curly door frames and everything like that. And it had a hotel pool and sauna and everything, but that was all on the bottom floor. And then as you go up a floor, that's the reception and the kitchens and the dining area, and then the higher up you go, it's just rooms and rooms and rooms. And then I think right at the top there was a couple of balconies and like aviary areas, atrium areas that you could like sit and look at the view, because we have some pretty nice views here in my town. Yeah, so no one agrees the hotel should be live. Infinitely high monocolours. Yeah, I want a more liminal feeling of the hotel. Yeah, I agree, Mono. That's actually why I was thinking that we should design it like a maze. So rather than having like a linear pattern, it should feel linear until the hotel feels threatened, and then the closer we get to the end, the more it starts messing with us. So it could be like, we think we're about halfway through the game, and then we open one door, or like we're chased into an elevator by something. We're chased into an elevator by the wax bellman, or by the manager, or a drain worm, or something that we've come up with in this stream. Something chases us into an elevator, and then when the elevator, even though the elevator goes up, it opens, and when you step out, you're back on the bottom floor. It's like, well, hold on a minute, what's going on? This is weird. And you start making your way up the stairs, and it takes you back, and you've got to sort of figure out there'll be something. There will be like a secret that you've got to solve, or a trick that you've got to do within the environment to help you navigate your way to the top of the thing. So yeah. Hey, welcome back, Aspen Groves. Yeah, the picture that giant head's looking above the corridor is really good concept. Yeah, I love that one. I really like that one. Somebody actually created a 3D animation of this before. I wish I could remember their name so I could give them a proper shout out, because they did a really good job of this, and I thought it was excellent, and I'd really like to see that person animate more. But yeah, I really like this concept, and I'd love to utilize it in our pilot episode of the Secret Expansion. I mean, maybe the hotel has a little daycare zone. It could. That's not outside of the realm of possibility. I stayed in a really nice hotel with my parents once, a lot of years ago, when I was a kid, and I actually really liked sitting in that little daycare area, because they had like PlayStation set up that you could play on, and Lego that you could play with and things like that. It was really nice, actually. Gemini, can you please read my cannibalism idea, please? I want to hear what you think about it. Yeah, absolutely. If I can find your comment, Stinkles, I will. Stinkles. Yeah. Aha. One idea I've had for a while is that sometimes the kids are in groups and they run out of food and result in cannibalism, and some regular visitors are also enemies you have to deal with. Yeah, absolutely. This is another thing that could come into it. The only risk we run, again, we can do whatever we like with this idea, and if it's a popular vote, then by all means. The only thing is, if we're intending to make this into a video, there is something like it might limit what we're allowed to do, because our characters are children. Even getting images created of harm to children is frowned upon because of just rules and regulations, and obviously it's not something anybody really wants to see. Even if in something as harmless a concept as video game idea, so it might be risky, but I do like the idea of that level of desperation being involved. I actually felt that was going to come to be in E.C. Meyer's The Lonely Ones book with the character Feast, because he's starving, right? He's constantly starving all the time. But he doesn't get to eat all the way through the book, and I'm sitting there thinking he's going to eat one of the other ones. And obviously, Little Nightmares has explored the idea of cannibalism before, but very indirectly. Like, Six has eaten another child, but in the form of a gnome, so it's okay. And then she ate the lady, who is an adult, so it's okay. And now the guests, they eat Six, but it fades to black. But you still get the idea. So I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say it's completely outside of the realm of possibility, but I also don't want to say, yeah, we're definitely going to do that, because I might spend, the next 3 months animating something like that, and then YouTube just goes, absolutely not, nope, and just won't publish it. So I want to be a bit careful with what I do, or at least with what I commit to. The mushroom experiments that Otto could have done would have been like MK Ultra. Yeah, exactly, Gaius. You know exactly what I'm getting at. Gemini, I don't know if you read this, but I have an idea that the kids come from Little Nightmares or Reanimal have to hide in dead animals' body. How so? How do you think, Shattered? How do you think they would hide in a dead animal's body? You mean like they become the animal? Like, because I think that might be the way it's leaning, is that the people sort of become animals in a weird kind of way, or at least that's the vibe I got from the initial trailer. I'm going to do a lot more looking into Reanimal though. What if the hotel was haunted and there was a ghost or banshee that roams the hotel? Yeah, absolutely. That see, we haven't explored like a ghost type enemy yet. I do like the idea of something like a banshee, because I really like the idea of having a screaming enemy. So that's something else, because I saw a concept yesterday, and it was horrifying. It was just a clip. I was just doom scrolling as you do before bed, and there was a monster. There was just a woman driving along, and she's crying. She's driving along this like endless looking highway in the desert, and then there's just this thing appears in front of her. It's like a long, gangly looking woman, and it's just stood there in the middle of the road, just like staring at her. And she's looking at it, but she stops the car, and she's staring at this thing. She's like, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. She opens her eyes and it's gone. And then she turns to the side and it's right here in a passenger side window. And, oh my god, it was horrible. But I really liked the idea of the creature, and I thought that would make an amazing monster. In fact, it did make an amazing monster in this clip. But I don't know if it was from like a movie or a short horror story or a YouTube video already. I'd never seen it before. I didn't look into it. I just kept scrolling, but I thought, that was cool. But the actual monster stuck with me, and the reason it stuck with me is because when it appeared at the window, I got to look at its face, and it had like a really wide mouth, and it was screaming, and it made an awesome noise, and I was like, that's cool. I really like that. Really morbid, spooky. Aspen Groves, I'll be back. Got to feed my sheep. No worries. Duty calls. Another monster in there could be a gardener. Yeah, potentially could, actually, with a hotel. I feel like a gardener would be a good one for a number of these concepts, actually. But if we're going to try and keep this one mostly inside the hotel, or at least on the grounds of the hotel, then it might be worth having a gardener in there. But maybe in one of the higher levels, like out on the atrium or something, like you've got like a little outlook point, and this person is responsible for taking care of the garden, but the garden could be all like dilapidated. Like maybe they're a gardener, but they're just not very good at it. Like so they suck because it's corrupted, so like nothing grows properly, or something like that. Yeah. You'll die if you stand in the mushrooms for so long. Yeah, absolutely. I used alone as my test subject. The antagonist could also find collectible items around the hotel that are hidden, like the dolls in Little Nightmares 3, the statues in Little Nightmares 1, the hats in Little Nightmares 2, so they could be postcards or snow globes. I love the idea of snow globes, because the snow globes could be a reference to like a future one, like because maybe in episode 2 we go we change up the script a little bit and we start exploring this concept of the of our heroes being in a like a snowy blizzard like environment, and that could be the tie-in links to the next episode, and we start exploring like, you know, the snowman enemy or the Eskimo enemy and things like that, you know, for some snow-based creature concepts. Yeah, absolutely was a good idea, Stinkles. Very, very good idea. It would be terrifying. Yes, liminal feeling of the hotel. Yeah, definitely. Right, forgive me, guys. I am going to scroll down because I've just realised that I have 10 minutes left until I have to be at work, and I have not done the main vote. So I'm going to do that right now. So, there have been a number of characters, and I've brought them up on my screen here. So, the first one, right, is by Katsy. And I have a poll there, this. I just want to make sure I've got all the right screens up, and where's my chat? Right, chat. We are now going to vote on which character is going to be going in to this episode. Which character is going to explore this hotel? This residence turned hostile that we just invented over the course of the last hour or so. Who are we going to throw kicking and screaming into this environment? I've been submitted a whole bunch of different ideas, and my team have been through them, and we've gone over a couple of them. My artists have looked at some of them, and I'm going to run over them briefly now with you guys, and I'm going to let you guys see the images, and then we're going to go to a vote. But first, I want to talk about who these characters are and what they look like, and of course who submitted them. The first one is by Katsy. So this is Katsy's YouTube channel, and the reason I have this here is because I need this image, because this is Frill, and this is the character that Katsy submitted. I hope you guys can see this image well enough. I'm going to try and make it a little bit bigger. Also, I would like the description that I screenshotted earlier with the intention of reading. There you go. Right, where are we? You guys can probably read that on the screen for yourselves too. Hopefully. Damn it. There you go. Why did it change? Katsy. There you go. Alright, so Frill has been in the nowhere for quite some time, as shown by her outfit being tattered and torn. She used to love dancing, but now fears it, as every time she hears any kind of melody being played, she's compelled to dance along until the music stops, as if she's under some sort of trance. Her body is covered in injuries, both old and new, which seems to indicate she is trying to escape from some sort of cruelty, as she has been forcefully subjected to. She is looking for a way to peace, one way or another, but always seems to return to an unknown beacon that keeps drawing her back. Will her perseverance allow her to prevail, or will the cruelty of the nowhere prove too much for her? I want you guys to have a good look at Katsy's design right here. This is Frill, and she is going to be the first character. Oh, I thought I clicked the X then. There you go. I like Frill. Frill can stay. Yeah, right? Exactly. What will be the superpower of the main protagonist? Well, they may not have a superpower, or at least they might not discover it in the pilot episode, because most of these children, they do have quirks. Like the quirk for Frill is that when she hears music, she can't help but dance. She's compelled to dance towards a signal, but we're not sure why. And that could be something that Katsy helps me explore on if Frill wins the vote today, because obviously we have more characters and they're going to be pulled against one another, but Frill is the first one. She has an amazing concept design. I really, really like this character image. I like that she's really cutesy, right? You know, you can tell she was a girl's girl. right? This is a girly girl. She's frilly, she's pink, she's got like long hair with a bow and her ballet shoes. She was a dancer. She's very slight, and it's like, okay, she's, you know, she's pretty and delicate, but she's obviously hardened by the nowhere, because that was a choice we made. We said that we are going to have a person who's been damaged by the nowhere. All of these character concepts that I'm going to share with you today have been submitted by some of you guys, and each one of them is designed to have been in the nowhere for quite a while. So this person, along with the rest of the people I'm going to show you, is versed and experienced within the nowhere. Okay? So this is the first one. This is Frill. What do you guys think? Yeah, honestly, right? Holy hell, she looks like the Pretender. Yeah, she does kind of have Pretender vibes in a kind of way. It must be the hair, I think. I think it's the elegance of the design. Ooh, kid who's trapped in the hotel and works as personnel. Interesting. I like that, actually. I like the idea of her being sort of forced to work in the hotel. I want there to be a water level and a fear of drowning. There absolutely could be, because we could include a pool in a hotel. Yeah, Aspen Frill is absolutely adorable. Yes, I like this. Read my chat messages, please. I'm trying, Unknown, I promise. I want there to be... I just did! Step! What's up, Step? How you doing? Where have you been? How dare you act like you've got a life outside of my stream? Don't act like you be doing it. No, how you doing, Steph? It's great to see you. I'm glad you can make it to the stream. What's up, Carson Reinhardt? That's an awesome name. How's it going, Step? You're doing okay, my brother. Step, you're just in time for the vote on the character. So for those of you guys, this no, Vibe Check Man, I don't have a Discord server strictly. Well, I do, but it's only for channel members, and it's very, very limited anyway. But I do have a Discord that anyone is welcome to add me on. I'm just super slow at replying because my messages look like my chat, so it just keeps on getting constant all the time. So I will get back to you on Discord if you message me at Gemini540, but it will just take a while, that's all. Gemma was actually editing my Gem out of context part 2, oh no. Alright, moving on to the next character. Next character is this one. This is Nancy, the Girl of Darkness, a girl who mysteriously gained the ability to manipulate shadow. Nancy is revered as a legend among children of the nowhere, and they say once one poor child crosses her path, they are never seen again. And this girl obviously has superpowers, and she has like a spider-like appearance, as you guys can see. Now, I showed this particular concept to my artist Rocco, and Rocco looked at this and said, yeah, I really like this design, this is really cool, and they redrew me this design. And where are you? So I'm gonna put the initial description up there, like so. You can see this, and where is my chat so I can see, and there's you guys. Okay, there you go. So this is by Rexo and Co. Now this particular character obviously has superpowers. They are versed in the nowhere, as was designed to be by our existing live stream, and we voted on it last time that whichever character this is going to be well versed in the nowhere. Some of these characters will have quirks already, and some of them will have fully fledged superpowers that they already have established. Kind of like Mono traveling through the TVs was already sort of like well established that he can mess with the signal within like an hour of playing the game. And this right here is Rexo & Co.'s design, who is also in the chat right now. So let me get some eyeballs in the chat, and maybe even some spiders, because this character, Nancy, is giving me real spider vibes. What do we think of Nancy, the Girl of Darkness? This will be the character you want to vote for if you're thinking of somebody who already has like a firmly established superpower within the nowhere. And maybe the kind of character who would be capable of rendering a hotel to a burning, smouldering mess on the ground. Oh my god, it's my child! Yeah, Rexo's channel. So Rexo's channel, sorry I'm using your handle here, but Rexo made this character concept for us. Oh my god, my child is beautiful. Yeah, bro, I'm really glad because I was hoping I could talk to you. I know a lot of you guys don't use Discord and it's the only way I communicate outside of comments, but I'm not able to share images through YouTube comments, which is why I always recommend that people communicate with me using Discord, because if you use Discord, I can send images and share stuff, and you can talk to my artist, and we can, like, you know, get together and we can sit and describe some of your ideas and things like that. But yeah, this is Nancy. What do you guys think? Gotta go to school while watching this. I won't talk that much, but don't worry, Stinkles. You're absolutely right. Do your homework. Focus on your education. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the viewership, but it's nothing you can't catch up with later on. I promise you. Focus on your education. Make sure that you're doing you're getting the priorities right. I love her. I think she's awesome. I really, really like her idea, and I love that she's got like the. He said when I said, you know, what's with the pout? You know, why does she look? You know, I said in Rexo's original design she was sort of smiling, and he said, yeah, but once I drew the hair, all I could see was Wednesday. He's like, I couldn't put a smile on Wednesday Addams, so I just sort of give it a little pout and sort of thing. He said, do you want me to make her smile? And I was like, no, leave it like that. I like her like cross little look. It makes her look a little bit more serious, like she's ready for a fight. Think about the plunger in the pool, where the main protagonist has to find the keys of the room and then dies in a chase near the kitchen, i.e. froze to death in the freezer. That would make sense. It would very much like the lunch lady. Like you could sort of trap her in an area like that, where they would freeze to death or burn. Saying that, we have done burning before. Her dress looks very similar to Frill's. It's kind of similar, but Frill has more a ballet style dress, so like a very like tight, frilly and segmented kind of dress. This one, the dress definitely looks quite similar, but the actual concept is more like Frill's. I think that we went for tattered frills on this design just because it makes it look a little bit more battle worn. Because remember, these people have been in the nowhere for a good long time. The reason she isn't damaged like Frill is covered in injuries and wounds. Nancy isn't covered in wounds because she's solid. You know, she's already got powers, so she has the capacity to fight back. Gemini, imagine we get a Little Nightmares live action TV show. I think we are. Well, actually, not live action. We're not getting live action at all, are we? But yeah, that would actually be really cool. Barbara! I feel like I'm going to explode when Gemini shows mine. I really hope you guys like him. Well, I think you will be well within your right to do so, because I'm going to close off this and this and this and this, and I am going to open this. I'm going to move up to... right, so that's yours. Right, so we've done Nancy, we've done Catsy. Now we're going to do Rowdy Rex. Rowdy Rex made this. This is Mercus. And Mercus has a description, but it's a lengthy description, so I am going to cut to the chase here. I'm just going to scroll down because you very kindly wrote me a backstory earlier on. Now, all the info on this character, and it's extensive because this is a fully realised character concept that Noah came up with. Right, so Rowdy Rex has come up with this character, and we have everything. We have gender, we have age, nicknames, personality, like height, eye colour, literally everything, absolutely everything. And they have some distinguishing features, but I am just going to read the backstory real quick. So, like all those who've fallen into the nowhere, Mercus was one that felt trapped in his small world, but did his best to help those as much as he could. The small world was not one without entertainment or happiness by his two fathers' act of ventriloquism that kept him happy. But after being discovered that he had contracted an unknown disorder that had deteriorated his emotional and mental state, his father, while short and a bit more strict, believed that therapy wasn't for him, and that he believed that it would not make him happier, where his papa, who was more lax and soft-spoken, only wished the best for his one and only son. This caused a tear in poor Mercus as he felt he was the cause between his father's fighting that had started. Even the soft licks and nuzzles of his puppy couldn't bring happiness into him. Over the weeks, he had a thought that he wished that he could enter dreams. What if he went somewhere that didn't make him a problem? The next day, his fathers came to check on him, seeing nothing but his puppy, whimpering under the blankets of the missing Mercus. So Mercus goes into the nowhere, much of his own accord. And we already started with a melancholic, because we've decided that we want a melancholic feel. right? We want a sad and disheartening storyline rather than an aggressive and violent one. So we're going to adopt a more melancholic feel. And I felt like this particular character, including their description and backstory, captures that aesthetic really, really nicely. So right here you have, Mercus as drawn by Rowdy Rex, and then you have Roko's rendition of Mercus, which I'm going to put on screen for you guys right here, and bring chat back up so that I can see what you guys have to say. There we go. So when I showed my artists this one, I showed it to both Propimol and Roko, and Propimol was working on an enemy design for me at the time. So Roko took this one and said, you know what, I really like this concept exactly as it exists, so I'm just going to try drawing it up. His main question was, are the teeth supposed to be sharpened? And I said, yeah, I'm quite sure he's supposed to have sharpened teeth, especially considering this character, again, is one of the ones that is worn and weathered by the nowhere. So sharpened teeth could be another distinguishing feature that sets his character apart, other than the palette, like the very definitive, colourful, lilac-coloured scarf, and then, of course, the freaking tentacle, which is explained in the character description, which if you guys want to read in full, please go over to the channel, which I just had on screen. But here we go. What do we think? I'm going to read a couple of things. She's like a puppet from FNAF. Yeah, kinda. I know what you mean. Maybe it's the layers. Could be. Thank you guys so much for the nice words towards my child. I never thought I'd be this happy. I'm really glad you're happy, Rexa. Secretary of Little Nightmares 3, yet this girl slayed. Damn right. Gemini, how's your mum? My mum's actually doing really good, chat, and I very much appreciate you. Even better so for Katsy's massive generosity earlier. I haven't forgotten Katsy, by the way. That distraction is finally off my screen, so I don't keep on like stumbling back every time I look at my screen again now. But but thank you. Yeah, thank you, chat. My mum is actually doing really well. She hasn't been out very much because my town is frozen. It's completely snowed over at the moment. It's impossible to get around, but she's doing okay. I've been visiting where I can and going up and spending some time with her. She's doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. I think they should make the show an anthology. Also, I can talk from time to time, not that busy with home. No worries, Stinkles, as long as it's not detracting. I wouldn't want my voice or my face or my stream or anything about this to detract from your education at all. By the way, Jem, I got another movie trailer you should check out. I think you'll like the look of it. It's named Undertone. There is one actor on screen throughout the entire movie. It looks great. The movie mixes paranormal stuff with podcasts and nursery rhymes. Interesting, I'll look into that step. That sounds fascinating. The ferryman should be in a picture in the hotel somewhere. Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. Excuse me. There will definitely be some cameo appearances. Yeah, I'm going to be throwing in some background stuff. In fact, there's background stuff in every single episode I've ever made. And if you guys look really carefully, you might be able to see them. Like, you know, just subtle things like little images that I've left in or little tie-in links to the game that I don't mention that I hope you guys will pick up on. And a lot of you guys do as well. In the comments, you'll say, oh my God, you actually left that there and that's where Mono found it. Oh my God, it's a link, and it is. And it's intentional. And I'm really glad you guys have got a keen eye because it shows who's really looking into it. You're all theorists in your own right. I like Mercus. Is he Cthulhu? It could be Cthulhu. Maybe he is a baby Cthulhu. But I really like Mercus. I really like his design. I think because the thing is, otherwise, apart from the tentacle and the scarf and the teeth, he's very understated. And this is the thing, he could be mistaken for just anyone else. Like, if you were to cover that side, I don't know what I'm trying to show you guys with my hand, but if you were to cover the tentacle and the scarf and his distinguishing features, he just looked like, you know, the runaway kid, right? It's just like, oh, it's just another kid. And then he turns around and he's got his tentacle. It's like, oh, okay, explain that. Okay? And it just throws you off. But it's not outside of the realm of possibility because it's the nowhere. And we can explore this kind of design. We could even link it to his reasoning for being in the hotel. He could start in the pool area. He might have a particular ability when it comes to that section. But yeah, I like Mercus. I think Mercus is really cool. Definitely beats my design for Mercus. It is your design for Mercus. Oh no, it's Noah's design for Mercus. But yes, I very much like Mercus. I think it's a really cool concept in general. I bet you're all guessing who his father and papa are. Can you take a guess? I'm going to take a swing and say they wear a purple suit. Nice, reminds me of a character on an old video game. The main character also developed a tentacle at some point and made it so she could stick to walls. That's cool, Dariana. What game was that? That sounds familiar. Guys, yeah, he looks badass. Yeah, for real, right? You don't need to worry about ordering food. You got calamari. He's gonna have calamari for days, y'all. Someone please pass the hollandaise sauce. No, he's not Cthulhu. Read his description, you'll understand. He will not eat his arm. It has a mind of its own. Man, you gained a subscriber. Hey, nice. I appreciate that very much. Also, will there be 2 main protagonists? There will eventually. So what we're doing today is we're going to vote on the character that's going to be in the pilot episode, which will be the first one. And I believe in developing a character story before introducing more characters. So, like, we got to know Six before, then we got to know Mono, and then we introduced the guys together, and it's like, right, now we're familiar with these characters, because they took the time to develop the characters' stories, drive, and narrative before just throwing a group at you. But if they were to introduce like all of these characters at the same time, you wouldn't have a chance to develop the character. So what we're doing today is we're going to choose whoever's airing episode 1. So whichever one of these characters wins this vote is going to be featured in episode 1 as like the main character. And then they could go on to meet other characters. So Frill might win this vote, but then she could go on to meet Mercus in episode 3. And that will all be decided by you guys, because we're going to explore this narrative and each and every episode together as a collective during these live streams, so that you guys can be directly involved with the content I make moving forward throughout this year. Because I feel like that's a fun way to interact and engage with you guys, and also recognise how important you are to the development of this channel and the way we go. I feel like you guys, I really like your inputs and I really like your theories, and it's one thing for me to thank you and like the comments and heart the comments and reply and stuff like that and try to show you respect. It's a whole other to create something entirely based on your ideas. So I feel like this is a really good way to push pull that together. So that is Mercus, and we have one last one to look at. We have one more that was developed by a person in the chat called Aspen Groves. Aspen, are you still here? Because Aspen Groves drew this initial design. I'm going to show you the initial design, and then I'm going to show you my artist rendition as well, so that you guys can see both concepts in equal measure. So we're going to say goodbye to Mercus for now, and we are going to open up this sketch of Garden. Now, Garden is a different style of character. They have a small description. It's not an extensive description, but it does need to be, because Little Nightmares focuses a lot on show, don't tell. And it was something that came up in a comment. I actually chose this character for quite a specific reason, because you'll notice the rest of the characters that we've explored so far, A through C, have also Mercus, Nancy, and Frill, all came with like character descriptions and backgrounds and a lot of details and everything like that. Garden did not. Aspen Groves, I think, deliberately chose only to describe this character's external features, so that we could better get an understanding of how this character looks and perhaps where they belong, and get across the idea that they've been in the nowhere for a long time. But this character does not have a wide description, and the reason I chose this character in spite of there not being a description is because Lonnie Nadler posted a little while ago, and I read, said, some people don't understand the concept of show, don't tell. And that kind of hit me, because I am very much a show and tell kind of person, because I like to expand on the story and I like to put it together. It's part of my job as a theorist, is to take what they're showing you and tell you about it in more depth, so that you can understand it from, at least from my perspective, in a way that makes sense. Garden doesn't make sense, right? Garden is just a completely ambiguous character without a description. But I like that, because that means that once we get this picture, this image finalized, we can develop the character as they go through their story. So we're going to have a look at what they have to say. So they have a bandage over the eye and a brown and yellow striped shirt. They have patchwork pants, so that they can have big pockets. Again, a useful tool while navigating the nowhere. Something that 6 could have done with in the original game, because you have to carry like big keys or hooks, or things that would helpful tools that would help you navigate the nowhere, and having some big old pockets would be worth having for sure. So their name is Garden, and they have they them pronouns. They're 11 years old, and they crossed the threshold into the nowhere when they were 7. So they've been in the nowhere for 4 years, so a really long time. So a very, very distinguished individual within the nowhere. And they actually started in Aspen Grove's OC Little Nightmares set in the countryside, which is cool. And we also have a artist's rendition of Garden right here. There you go. And my artist actually used a very, very nice term for this character, because my artist said, I know this character is supposed to have a weathered and worn kind of look, because they've been in the nowhere for so long that they are shaped by it. So there's a lot of damage, a lot of damage and crumples and frizz on the hair and things like that. So you can tell this character has been in the nowhere for quite a long time. But he also said, I didn't want to lose any of the hug factor, because this character is still a child, right? They still look vulnerable. So he still went with the big eyes and the tear streaks and things like that to make it look like this is a person who, although weathered and worn and quite admirable within the nowhere, and up against its residents and so on, is still very capable of managing and navigating, even though you still want to pick them up and give them a hug and rescue them. So that is the initial concept. So that's Garden. How do I make this smaller so you can see both images together? There you are. And where's my chat gone so I can see what you guys have to say? Your camera angle has me oh god, I'm so sorry, my stupid face. 1 second, let me just get rid of my face real quick. There you go. I keep thinking you're in your old room. Yeah, it is really weird actually. Yes, I really like Mirka's design as well. The colour scheme is really cool. Hey, what's up, Iris Moth? I don't know if you saw my chat messages, but I now have a teaser for my Little Nightmares project, and I'd love your opinion when you have time. It's just a teaser of the subject. Yeah, I'll absolutely check it out. Future Gem, excuse you. This is a message for you. Go check out Iris Moth's trailer. I want to see it. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, I am a theorist. No, I'm glad I got it right. Let's hope the hotel guests don't like seafood. Yeah, for sure. Trying to remember the name of the game, but it's not come to mind clearly. Something like Mission Quest, Treasure Quest. It was an online game site, looked pixelated like RPG. Okie dokie. I love Merc the Gurk. Yes, Aspen. Hi, baby. Yeah, I love their hair as well, honestly. I like that design. Yeah, that is a pretty design. I know the hair is so cool. That was actually my artist's favourite part to draw. He said that he liked doing the hair because it was just wild. Because this character has like quite a what's the word? There's a word for when a character's non-binary, so you don't want to lean too much towards a feminine or a masculine kind of look. There's a specific term for it, but I can't remember what it is. It's not ambiguous. It kind of means ambiguous, but it's not the same thing. Whatever the case, that's what we were going for, because we're like, well, we don't want to lean too far from one to the other so that mistakes can be made and things like that, because obviously they will. It's just, it's the way the world works. Miscommunication and so on, which is why I thought it was important to have the character description on screen as well, because I don't want anybody getting upset, because that's not what we're here for. Androgynous, Dariana, thank you so much. That was itching my brain so badly. Thank you, Dariana. Androgynous is absolutely what I was going for right there. Now, still working on the backstory, the idea about, don't worry about it, Aspen, you're absolutely fine. Also, it was a very big deal for Aspen Groves to submit this character, so it is important that we get across what we feel and what we think, because this is where we've come to share, and a lot of people were too nervous to share their character designs. I was in fact really hesitant to share some of mine, because when I first designed my OC Legion, I was really afraid that no one would like him, because I love him. I poured my heart and soul into developing that character, and I relate to him so much because I see a lot of myself reflected in the character, and based a lot of him on my inner child, like my internal conflict and so on. And so when you pour your heart and soul into a character and then put it out for the world to see, it can be very nerve-wracking. So massive props to each and every one of these people that have submitted these characters, particularly Aspen Groves, who communicated to me over Discord that they weren't sure whether or not they were going to submit a character at all, because they were stepping outside of their comfort zone in doing so, but they've come up with this fantastic design that is now a fully realised rendition here, and has an ambiguous backstory, which we can develop together, providing this character wins this vote. However, we do still have the vote to do, and I am well and truly out of time. So, but I promised you guys a vote, so I am going to get onto this right now. Yes, androgynous, thank you. Yeah, everyone's saying androgynous now, and I'm like, ah! Okay. Right, yes. Yeah, I'm just here to watch stuff, and I have really bad social anxiety, so I avoid posting anything. Yeah, absolutely fine and totally valid. I was exactly the same. I wanted to be a YouTuber for years, for literal years, before I dared upload a video, and even then I was really nervous. I still have to this day a video saved in a archive folder, and it's the first video I ever made, and I never ever published it. It was a test video to see how I look and how I talk, you know, to practice being on camera before I was ever on camera, so that I was like, you know, can I control my impulses? Do I remember where the camera is? What are my settings like? Am I able to talk at length without just stopping dead and staying in silence so everybody gets bored? Also, I keep talking to the camera and I realise it's not on now, so I'll bring myself back, and I am going to close off these pictures. I am going to bring this up and this up. Where's chat? There you go. And I am going to open it up to a vote while I take a very short break to go and text the person I'm supposed to be working with and tell them I'm going to be a couple of minutes late, because I promised you guys a vote, and it's not your fault that this vote is late, it's my fault that this vote is late, it's my fault that the work is being pushed back. And if I'd have gone to work last week instead of being sick and broken inside, then everything would have been okay. Everyone's like, oh, you want to be different so bad, you want to be different so bad. No. I would much rather fit in and be liked. But there's something wrong with me, psychologically. Yeah, this is going to be a very tough vote. So, again, I would like you guys to bear in mind that whoever wins this vote today, it's not the be-all and end-all. It will decide who's going to be in the pilot episode, so whichever character wins this vote today is going to be in the first episode, but it's not to say we won't use the other characters that have been put and submitted in future episodes, so they could very well interact in the future. It's not to say that we won't use them, they just won't be in the first one, and it's not to say that you can't submit characters that you have at the moment. So, if you guys have character concepts that you would like to see in future videos like this one, or if you have monster concepts even, or environmental concepts that you've drawn up, I would love to see all of them, because the idea of these streams is it is a community effort. And the more people that are involved, the better this will turn out, because the more of us that are involved, the better understanding we can get of what the actual overarching community want. So rather than just being like, well, 3 or 4 people said that the hotel was a good idea, I'd much rather go with, well, actually 73 people said the hotel was a good idea. Or like, you know, and the higher that number is, the better we can get an understanding of the Little Nightmares community as a whole, rather than just a select group of individuals that might really like one character, one monster, or one concept in general. So let's keep it fair, let's keep it friendly, and let's start a vote. I'm going to start a poll up, and I'm going to say choose your character. God damn it. Didn't even start typing. Choose your character. Frill. Garden. Mercus. Or Nancy. Oop. And begin. The vote is open to each and every one of you. Feel free to cast your votes. Remember to think on their backstories. Read into them if you need to. Go back if you need to. I'm going to leave this vote open for a little while so that I can really get the best understanding I possibly can. I would urge each and every one of you, if you haven't voted already, please do. If you haven't liked the stream, please do. If you're enjoying yourself and you like this kind of concept and you like the idea of us doing something as a community and working on a project together, please like the stream and share it with your friends and let people know that this is what we do, because the more popular these become, the more regular I'll do this kind of thing, and the better I'll get at this designing these kind of streams. So it'll be a lot more linear, so it won't take us like 2.5 hours to come up with a simple concept, because this has taken place over 2 streams and over like 2 weeks. But if you imagine it, 2 weeks ago we had no idea this was going to be a thing, and now within the next like 15 minutes we're going to have an entirely new story, an entirely new environment, entirely new enemies, a feeling, you know, we have the fundamentals down, we have the like how it's going to start, how it's going to end, we have a timeline roughly because we know that it has to be a prequel. We have sort of like a system in place of how we're going to navigate the area, and by the end of this vote we'll actually have a main character. So in 2 weeks we essentially have a full-blown story. We will be conducting another one of these kind of streams just to really iron out some of the finer details on this and further develop these environments, the characters, and the monster concepts that I feel like I'm going to go into this, because I'm going to brainstorm with a couple of artists and 3D designers and modelers and things like that to help me design some of these environments and some of these monsters and some of the, you know, traps and puzzles and stuff that we're going to be looking at as this progresses. But 2 weeks ago, this did not exist. And in just like, you know, in just a couple of weeks' time, we've managed to get a fully fledged concept on the go. And that would not have been possible without each and every one of you making valuable contributions. So please, if you enjoy this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel with notifications on. I'm going to leave you guys for just a minute to cast your votes. I will be right back. Okay? Forgive me, but I need the bathroom. Damn, this is actually really intense. Hello, guys. I have returned. Sorry, I had to just make a quick phone call as well to let the chaps I know across seas, because I'm doing some work with some people, and I promised them I would be there tonight, and I absolutely have to. So I really do got to go soon. But I also want to see how this culminates. So let's see. Let's have a quick scroll up and make sure. Yeah, absolutely. That check, man. These, like, even if you guys don't get this vote, so every single one of these characters has the potential to be used, but whoever's going in the first video, who's going to be like the pilot episode, the main character of the first episode that we created, the secret expansion, it's going to be down to this vote. So whichever one of these characters wins this vote is going to be featured in the first episode, but it doesn't mean that the other characters can't be. Eventually, we could truthfully, we could use all of these characters. But, you know, if this series goes on for long enough, we could utilize all of these characters. But something else to consider is that the more popular this series becomes, the more character submissions we will get. But these characters that haven't already been used will continue to come up in future votes as well, because the characters that don't win this vote are going to be archived, put to one side with their descriptions and with the person who's responsible for creating them linked to it directly, so that I can communicate with each and every one of you. I can communicate with Noah and Rexo and Katsy and Aspen and talk to them about, you know, how they want their character to be developed, or if they want to make any changes to their character's design or anything like that. I, in fact, even have my own OC that I was going to submit to this if it wasn't particularly popular. Turns out it was way popular, so it's awesome. But I do have a fully realized character that I would like to share with you guys, and these characters will eventually meet that character too, but I'm not going to share it today. I'm going to keep it a secret for now. Dive into the murk with Murkus by your side. Yes. Can't promise the arm will look good. Yeah, I love that some of the artists in here as well that have drawn these character concepts, you guys are going to draw each other's character concepts as well. That's actually one of my favourite things, is when people send me fan art of my OC. That really warms me up. I think that is amazing. That's my favourite thing to see, is fan art of my original character. Indeed, indeed. Got a new subscriber. Thank you, Rad Hair. I really appreciate that. Wait, Shattered Worm. Shattered Law said something a second ago that I saw and I thought was interesting. Where's your comment gone? Huh. Could have sworn it was you. Sorry about that. I think I'm getting really missed. Just GKS. Just want to appreciate you for always being such a community-based creator. It's so healthy for the Little Nightmares community, especially after Little Nightmares 3 to contribute. Thank you, GKS. I very much appreciate you and stopping in to see me when I know you're really busy with your schoolwork. Guys, just a quick shout-out to Just GKS. GKS is not only an artist who is helping me with some environmental art for my upcoming Little Nightmares speculative DLC Chapter 6 final, but also his artwork might well be featured in this video too. It all depends on schoolwork, because obviously GKS has got a packed schedule at the moment, takes education very seriously, as I would always recommend you do, and doesn't have an awful lot of time to create work, but always tends to make time for me, which I'm eternally grateful for. And again, I just want to make sure that they are recognised, because without them, this would be a lot harder. Legion! Yes. God, I love Legion. Frill does fit the hotel aesthetic a lot more than the other three. Well, potentially. Bro, shows the results of the vote. The vote is still going. The vote is still on. I want to leave it for a little while just to make sure that absolutely everybody has, like, I've got a timer sort of going in my head little, because I want to make sure that everybody gets the chance to vote, because if you haven't voted already, I'd highly recommend that you do, because I really want to make sure that whichever character this is, it is definitely everybody's favourite. I want to make sure that the majority of the Little Nightmares community are what's having the impact on this. I don't want to end the vote too early and then find out a little bit further down the line that actually there was 20 other people that would have voted for Frill, or would have voted for Mercus, would have voted for Garden, would have voted for Nancy, if I'd have just held on for another minute. So that's why I'm just trying to like drag it out a little bit so that everybody gets their chance to make their voice heard, because that's the whole idea of this being a community event and being an interactive stream where we work together for it. I don't want to just... That's another reason why I didn't say submit these characters and I'll pick my favourite. Because if I'm going to pick my favourite, I might as well just design the character myself. And I'm already doing some work on this project. I'm going to be developing a lot of the story and a lot of the environments and a lot of the puzzles and a lot of the narrative and everything like that. But I want it to be your ideas. I want it to be something that you all help to create, so that when we actually go to create this video, every single one of you is going to be able to look at it and see something that you recommended. So somebody will be like, he put a picture of the ferryman in the background. I said that was a good idea. You know, some of you will be like, oh, that's my character concept. That's my monster. I came up with that idea. I came up with that puzzle. I came up with this environment. And, you know, you'll all have made a commitment and a contribution to the episode when it comes out, and I think that's really rewarding, and I love that. I love that idea of us all working together on something rather than it just being me and then everyone being like, oh Jem, yours is awesome, or oh Jem, yours sucks, because then this way I can pie it off on you guys. If it's amazing, I can say, well done, my community is absolutely fantastic. And if everyone comes in and they're like, oh, we hate this episode, dislike and unsubscribe, and I'm like, you guys suck, all of you suck, and I'll just quit YouTube. So I can just blame you. There we go. Yeah, and just for context, for those of you guys that don't know, where is yes, where's the this is Legion. That's my guy. So if any of you guys do actually feel like drawing Legion, that's a picture of him right there. Feel free to take that, or I'll send it to you if you wanted a better one. He's pretty much always seen with the other guy. It doesn't have to be. You can draw him by himself, because like Legion is often seen by himself. In fact, most people can't see the other guy until like way later into the story anyway, but Legion can always see him. This is Legion, and his distinguishing qualities are he's been in the nowhere for a long time. He's weathered by it, he's worn by it, he's torn by it, he's emotional. He'd like some more human contact, particularly with other children, but he can't, and it's not really explained why. I will explain why, but again, show not tell. His distinguishing features are his red and blue eye that has a constant iris, and it kind of glows a little bit, and his oversized cape-like coat, again with the red and then the blue, like that. And it's oversized so he can sort of wrap himself in it and use it like, it's kind of like a bed sheet that he can wear, pretty much. But yeah, that's Legion. If any of you guys wanted to draw Legion for me, that's what it looks like. A lot of people already have. In fact, I've got this entire little folder here is dedicated to artwork that lovely people have drawn for me. There's some work by Catsy, by Loster Monster, by GKS, Heaven Robinson, Faceless Art and Skills. Roko's work is in here. Propimol's work's in here. MX Giraffe, the Overman, drew me a picture of Legion as well, which is brilliant. Yeah, a lot of love for Legion, but today is not about Legion. Today is about your characters, and I'm going to end the vote in 2 minutes. Currently it's 9:38. At 9:40 I am going to end this vote, and whoever is on top, they are going to be the main character for episode 1. So again, if you have not cast your votes already, please do so now. The countdown has begun. It would also be cool if you wanted to draw your own characters. If you want to draw Frill, Garda, Mercus, or Nancy interacting with Legion, I think that would be cool as well. Or interacting with each other. Like, you could have these guys, like, how you imagine these things are going to turn out in the future. I actually quite like the idea of one of these characters trying to hold hands with Mercus and grabbing his tentacle and then being like, oh, whoa, 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 yeah, that's not okay. Or Nancy. Nancy could be a cool one as well. Like, somebody reaches out a hand to try and hold Nancy's hand, and she uses one of her scaly tendrils to grab onto their hand, and you're like, hey, don't touch me. I think it's really cool. It's 3 a.m. in India. God damn. I'm still going to be awake at 3 a.m. because I've got, like I say, I've got work now. like 30 minutes ago. But it's okay. It's okay. Because this is where I want to be. Now, we are closing in. It's nearly time. So if you haven't voted, please do. I am going to close the vote very, very soon. There it is. 2140. Ending vote. 3, 2, 1. End poll. Let's see what we ended up with. So we're at 35% for Frill, 26% Garden, 27%, 12%. So Frill is our winner. Drawn by Kit Kat Katsy. Katsy, congratulations. Thank you all so much. Number the vote has to be fair and indifferent. Gemini had a time in his head and cannot... Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm not really allowed to mess around with it. It has to be indifferent, it has to be unbiased, and it has to go by the majority decision. So whoever won this, in this case it was Katsy, that is what we're going with, because this is the culmination of this stream and everyone who was involved and made a contribution. Ultra Ego Legion. That'd be absolutely dope. What a powerhouse design. Yes, it seems like Frill has won the vote. Now, again, do not be disheartened. Aspen Groves, Rexo, Noah, you guys, I don't want you to be disheartened, because it doesn't mean that your amazing character concepts aren't valuable, and it doesn't mean that they won't be featured in future videos. They absolutely could be. It will just depend on future votes. And you've obviously done particularly well in here because you've got a whole bunch of votes of your own. So all of these characters have merit, all of these characters have value, and every one of them can be adapted and expanded upon. But today, I would like some eyeballs in the chat to celebrate Katsy, because Kit Kat Katsy not only created this character, but also drew this concept herself. So I'm going to close this image. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep it on screen so that I can save it. I'm going to bring up Frill. And right here we have our winner. Let's get some GGs in the chat for Katsy and Frill, because Frill is going to be our character going into the Secret Expansions pilot episode, and she is going to be subject to the horrors of the hotel area in the pilot episode, and she's going to have to face off against all of the insidious ne'er-do-wells that we decide to put in this hotel. But we're going to decide on that next time, because for now I am all out of time and I'm going to have to go to work, unfortunately. But today has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all so much for all of your generosity, for your submissions, for your companionship. It's just been great. This has been a wonderful stream. I've really had a lot of fun chilling with you guys, and yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Yeah, congratulations for Frill's win. Yeah, loads of eyeballs, loads of GGs, loads of hearts. Let's do some hearts. Let's do some love hearts in the chat. And some celebrations. Whee! There you go. When's the next stream? The next stream, I am not entirely sure, guys, but I will be putting up a community post surrounding it, just to make sure everyone has knows in due course. It's work dependent, you see, and I have a lot of people come and visit me who work with me from overseas, so I have to work to their timeframes. I'd like to say the next stream is probably going to be in February, hopefully early February, but I also might be doing a Valentine's live stream as well, and that won't be like this one where the votes are interactive and stuff, but there will be some fun and games that I plan on playing for around Valentine's Day, because I actually really like Valentine's Day. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to come in with you guys and be here. I know a lot of people won't be able to make it because you'll have plans with your partners and stuff like that. I don't, because I am a single Pringle, I'm alone, and I love it. But it doesn't mean that I can't be here for you guys, because that is the best way for me to spend my Valentine's, is with each and every one of you doing what we love. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you. Oh, Heaven, you missed it. Heaven, where have you been? How dare you? Thank you as well, Jem. Hope to. Yeah, so, everybody be sure to check out my out of context video coming up. Don't get me banned. Step, please. I would very much appreciate having my channel for the remainder of 2026. And yeah, I will be checking out some of your channels, your artworks. Feel free again to submit your works to me for future endeavors like this one, because each and every one of them will be considered not only by me but also by our audience right here as well. And everyone's vote counts. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. But for now, that's going to do it until next time. Bye.